as we're going through the field tonight, looking at some of these guys. Those have some really good stats. So, you know, but as we say, J-Pop, sometimes stats really don't mean nothing at a track like this.
Absolutely. What's really fun about this track is it's one of a kind. You only go to it once a year, and it's a lot more intimidating than you think it is. And the track it's just a lot different. So people will have to adjust their driving styles before they do it. It's a really fun track to race on, and it's just going to be really, really interesting to really see who comes out, because I feel like most of the people who are good every week, they're still going to be up there, like Louis Bussa, Dale Reynolds, Jeremy Enoch. But you could see some other guys that maybe struggle at some other tracks. They could do well here. It's just this type of track.
Right. Yeah. This is like we said earlier. You know, a little bit of a different track. We're kind of watching some of the guys take some hot laps out here, but seen there on the track at 83 of Timmy St. Jean, he's still searching around out there right now for some last-minute speed out of that car. Right now on the practice charts out there for happy hour, he's running about a second off the pace right now. So you know, it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to find something for that car tonight. So you know, that's one of the things. You know, some of these guys now, we're going to see some guys I think tonight up there toward the front too, who we really haven't talked about. Looking at practice times here and such, that 51 of Nick Timms, he's looking real good out there, as well as the 78 of Chris Melton. That young rookie's been able to find some speed out here tonight. His laps up there on the track about a 15.12 right now, he's running pretty good, running top 3 right there now as far as the speed chart, these guys out here on the track and such. So one of the things I wonder, though, is going to be playing into the draft here tonight. So, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, some of these cars are going to be able to pick up a little more speed when they get nose to tail and such. So, but we're going to take a quick break here, kind of get things kicked off, and go ahead and play our national anthem, kind of get things started off. When we get back, we'll be back to some racing here. So stay tuned for the Game Informer 400 from NuffWORLD TV.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose thoughts bright and bright stars through the perilous tide, for the ramparts we won were so gallantly streaming. And against red glare, the bombers singing air gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And welcome back live here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for tonight's presentation from NuffWORLD TV of the Game Informer 400 here at Indianapolis. 400 miles to go here tonight, 160 laps. So looking forward to some exciting racing going on here tonight. Like we said earlier, you know, got Ben Bando up there on the pole position tonight, starting off in that number 1 spot. So, you know, look for good things coming out of Bando here tonight. Had a real good run there, you know, at Talladega. So But we'll kind of take you through the starting grid here tonight. On the front row, like we said, pole sitter tonight, TV Creative Design Pole Award winner, Ben Bandone at number 33 Machine. Rolling off in the number 2 position will be the number 3 of Louis Butza. Rolling off third will be the 03 of Bruce Turner. Rolling off in 4th place tonight will be the 04 of Justin McLucas. Rolling off 5th will be the number 42 of Travis McKinney. Rolling off 6th will be the number 27 of Mr. Dale Reynolds, who we spoke about earlier. Rolling off 7th will be the 23 of Frankie Samato. Rolling off in 8th position will be the number 5 of Kyle Lynn. Rolling off 9th tonight will be the number 51 of Nick Tim. Rolling off 10th and running our top 10 will be the 4 of Dennis Wright, followed by the number 87 of Kevin Kelly, and in 12th the number 24 of Chuck Garcia. Rolling off 13th tonight will be the 16 of Brian Lee, currently sits second in the point standing. Rolling off in 14th, the number 83 of Mr. Timmy St. Jean. Rolling off in 15th, the number 8 of Christian Vasquez. Rolling off in 16th will be the number 26 of Kevin Buchanan. Rolling off in 17th will be the number 7 of Howard Wildred. Rolling off 18th is the 08 of Danny Gutierrez. Rolling off 19th, the 61 of Charles Payne. Rolling off in 20th, the number 30 of Kevin Kelly Sr. Rolling off 21st will be the number 12 of Jerry Hinkle. 22nd starting position tonight will be the 62 of Doc Stout. Rolling off 23rd, the 54 of Charles Chapman. Rolling off 24th, the number 15 of Darren Binge. Rolling off 25th, the number 99 of Dennis Jenkins. Rolling off 26th will be the 32 of Justin Barton. Rolling off 27th will be the 41 of Steve Deo. 28th will be the number 25 of Todd Lee. Rolling off in 29th, the number 64 of John Lawler. Rolling off 30th will be the 78 of Chris Melton. Rolling off 31st will be the number 20 of Jovan Cherry. And rounding out tonight's field, rolling out in 32nd position will be points leader number 34, Ben Britton. So, you know, Ben Britton got a long road to hoe, so to speak, tonight, starting in the very last position. So, you know, he's a points leader by 8 points, as we talked about during pre-race. So, you know, this young man's got some smart driving to do tonight. As we're coming up that back position, they take the green flag. And we got green flag racing. These guys are up to speed and moving out. And Ben Bando moves ahead and puts that thing out in front to start things off. It looks like he's got the shows underneath, but Louis Butza ducked in behind him, getting into turn 1. That 03 machine was looking there for a second. Getting a lot of smoke back there. I don't know what happened there. So, looks like some guys might be, looks like the 03 of, he looks like he just got turned right up into the wall there. He may not got turned, but looks like he lost the rear end of that car. Definitely put it up into the wall. Looks like we got our first caution of the night out already for the 03 of Bruce Turner. Unfortunate start to the night for that young man who was looking to have some good stuff happen for him here tonight, but unfortunately looks like he rear end may have got away from him there, kind of turned it and got up into the wall. So definite bad break there tonight for the 03 machine on the very first lap. Looks like that car just did not stick going down into turn 2. Yeah, that rear end looks like it just kind of broke loose with him and, you know, went right up into that outside wall there. So not sure how much damage he may have done to that car. So unfortunate break for him tonight to kind of get things there. So 7 car, hearing reports down there though, the 7 car kind of gets loose. Looks like the 04 I'm hearing may have also gotten into him there in turn 2 to kind of help get him around there. So got the replay coming up here right now. Let's kind of take a look at things, see what happened down in there. But yeah, it looks like he got a nice little tag in the rear there from the 04 of Justin McLucas. But you know, backs it up into the wall there, gets it sideways, backs it into the wall. Luckily enough, you know, other than backing into the wall there, had no other damage. No one else got into it. So you know, that might be some damage as far as trying to aerodynamics of the car tonight for Mr. Turner, but luckily enough for him, you know, he's going to be able to escape away from that. Luckily, no one else got into him. Everybody else, good heads-up driving out there to make sure that, you know, they didn't get into him. But looks like he may have also done some more damage than we thought to that car as he has now put it behind the wall. So he may have had suspension damage we weren't able to see in that replay there. So, but no, I'm getting word from down on pit road right now. It was an engine failure. So I don't know if maybe he jammed it up when he did that, you know, kind of jammed that drive shaft up in the transmission and ruined the engine on that thing. Maybe exactly what happened. So unfortunate incident for that 03 machine of Bruce Turner out there tonight. Starts out with a very good starting position, but unfortunately is going to bring it home in 32nd tonight. First guy out of the race, and a horrible start to the race, so to speak, for him. First lap, and he didn't even get to complete one lap tonight. That's very unfortunate.
Well, Doug, and you know you're sitting there talking about how maybe that's what happened after the fact. But what if he blew that engine before the 04 got in the back of him? And so maybe that's why the 04 actually got into him. So it could go both ways, just in case, but just give the benefit of the doubt to the 04 car.
You know, you bring up an interesting thing there, Stephen. That could be very well what happened, because it looks like Turner lost a lot of speed getting into 2 as fast as the 04 came in there and got into him. So that may very well have been what happened, getting down into the corner there. He may have tried to shove it up into 3rd maybe, or was changing gears, over-revved it. Several things could happen for that engine to expire like it did right there. So you may have a very good point there as to what happened.
Yeah, you can definitely have issues on the restart, especially with an engine like that. You skip a gear, just do something like that, high rev on a restart, you do risk the chance of blowing up an engine, and it may have had even started further back into the restart where his troubles happened, or it's just a normal engine failure. Hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. But either way, like I said, unfortunate for that 03 of Bruce Turner tonight. Puts it down there behind the wall and calls it an early night, unfortunately, with a engine expiration on the very first lap. So definitely unfortunate thing there. But had quite a few guys. It's kind of surprising to me there. Head down pit road, to take on tires and fuel. Completing one lap and get down in the pits. I guess some of them may be starting to look at that fuel as it starts to go there. I haven't heard any reports as to a lot of these guys talking about how much fuel that they're getting out of the tank. Have you heard anything on that, Stephen?
No, not at this point. I know we raced over there on Thursday night, and I want to say that they're going to be able to get around 45 laps, 45 to 50 laps, something like that on a green flag run. I don't think tire is going to be a whole lot of issue tonight, just depending on how the track is at this point. But I think it's going to be between 40, 45, and 50 laps per tank.
All right, so about 40 to 50 laps on the tank. So that's quite time out here on this track. So, and I think a lot of these guys, once they did go in, maybe they're looking at possibility to going through, getting those, if we get everything spread out here and get moving, they may be able to get those couple extra 2-3 laps, exactly, get them a little extra track position, so on and so forth. So that's one of the things. But right now, it's kind of like what we've seen right there. These restarts here are some of the most treacherous times when everybody's hooped up here, so to speak, together real close as we're coming down to the green flag here, getting the green flag. But right now, as we talk about, these restarts are one of those things that can be treacherous here. We didn't speak about that during the pre-race, but everybody's bunched up close together right now. So this is one of those times is if they can turn about 5-6 laps, it'll get everything kind of spread out. As we go down into turn 1, looks like Ben Bando's been able to retain that position, but Travis McKinney is looking down on the inside of Lewis Buster there in that 3 machine, looking to take over the second place position, but as they come out of the corner there, looks like Buster's able to power away from him with some speed there and get in tucked in behind Ben Bando. So right now we got the first top 5. It looks like Bando, Buster, Travis McKinney, Kyle Lent, and Frankie Tomato, who's had himself a real good run there. Some of these cars, we're kind of watching them going through the corners. It looks like they're a little slick right now as their tires are trying to come up to heat and speed there, Stephen.
Yeah, this track is going to be a lot like Poconos, so I expect those guys that do well at Poconos, they should do relatively well here at Indy. It's 4 corners basically the same. Every corner is the same 90-degree banking and 3,300 foot front stretch and back stretch. So it's pretty much identical all the way around the track. The only difference is going into 1 and 3, they have to brake. But coming into 2 and 4, there's going to be no braking for these guys. They should just be able to hold it to the floor, maybe pedal it a little bit, but they should be able to just stick it to the floor out of each of those turns.
Right, and as you were talking right there, seen the number 5 of Kyle Lent go underneath the 42 of Travis McKinney to take over that 3rd position, and he's looking underneath Lewis Buster there just a little bit, decides to tuck back into line. So looks like Kyle Lent may be looking to get that number 5 machine up towards the front, leading a few laps here tonight. Looking real good right now, so he's definitely got a good car under him as he continues to put pressure on the number 2 position of Lewis Busta. So definitely got a hot battle going on right there for second position, and Kyle looks like he's ready to move forward.
Yeah, we can look back here in the 11th place of Chuck Garcia. He's been falling back from the start here. He's lost about 3 or 4 positions, so it's gonna take some time for these guys to settle in and get to be real racy in the long run. Right now they have the first caution, so they're just trying to put some laps down on the track. But there is also a little bit of a draft issue here. You can draft at this track, so pulling out a line and trying to pass on that inside is, even on the front stretch and the back stretch, it's going to be difficult if the guy behind you doesn't give you any help.
Yeah, and you talk about that draft and such, you can pick up a few miles per hour and a few tenths of a second there by staying in that draft. But I'm looking back here right now in the 30th place position, that number 34 of points leader Ben Britton. We talked about we got a caution out on the speedway there. It looks like, McLucas may have been involved in a caution there. Looks like he's sitting on the inside, but that 04 machine. But Ben Britton, as I was back to say there, he has started back there in that 32nd position, dead last in the field tonight, and has so far been able to work himself up to, he's still in 29th now after that. But, he had completely lost touch with all the other cars and had no kind of drafting help whatsoever there. So, he was running in a bit of a position he didn't really want to be in. He wants to get back up there and try to get some points tonight, maintain that points position. But, going to pull up the replay here, see if we can take a look at what happened there exactly. So, looks like going down in here to turn 1. Looks like he got in there, may have got down on that apron a little bit, tried to get back to the throttle after he got on that apron, just was unable to get back to the throttle. The rear end came around with him, so... But looking at it, Stephen, he may have just got in there with a lot more speed than what he thought he could get in there with, and tried to slow it down, and he hit the brakes and tried to cut down on that grass and that apron, and kind of looped around on him.
Yeah, and the last time we did this broadcast, you remember that saying that we had, the apron is not your friend? I think that's going to happen a lot tonight. And that's particularly because you got the grass so close to the track, and then you also got the rumble strips, and right now those rumble strips are going to be a little bit slick. So, I definitely think that's probably what will happen. It's probably not going to be the last time we see that tonight. But the good thing is he was able to save it, so it didn't affect him too much.
Yeah, you talk about you get down on those rumble strips there too, Stephen. That's one of the things we talk about a lot of other tracks, getting that wheel hop going down into the corners and such. But that can cause a lot of that wheel hop too. So that may have been a lot of what played into that. You get down on a rubber strip and you got the brakes on in any little bit, and it's going to cause that wheel hop, which we see a lot of guys go around with wheel hop on smaller tracks too. So could have been a lot to do with it. But, we still got, a lot of racing still here left to go with Ben Bando still leading the way. No change in those top 2. But Kyle Lent, he was looking real racy there, trying to put a little heat on Lewis Busta there this early going of the race right now. So, I look for Kyle Lent to try to make some moves here on this next restart, try to get around Lewis Busta and try to push up into that second position. But we'll kind of give you, go through the field here a little bit. Like we talked about, the top 3, Ben Bando, Lewis Busta, and Kyle Lynch. So we got number 42 of Travis McKinney still running back there in that 4th position. He had himself a good race here a couple of weeks back. Thought he had a good chance of winning it, and a couple of unfortunate pit road incidents. As we see, most of the field is coming down pit road right now. So looks like we got one car right now stayed out of that whole first 20, and looks like it's going to be the 4 of Dennis Wright staying out to take over the lead. So, he's probably going to get out there, lead that lap, and get him those 5 or that bonus point, for leading the lap and such to, help him out in his position within the point standings right now. So, not a bad call at this early juncture of the race for Wright to stay out there, kind of take a look at. Now, if he does decide to stay out, it may be a strategy issue he's trying to play here too, Stephen.
Yeah, it's right now. All you're trying to do is get maximum points, and if staying out right now at this point is the time to do it because you don't jeopardize your position on track. risk losing the race at this point. So they got 160 laps in this race. They've completed 8 of them. Now is the time to start getting those extra bonus points, which is 1 point for leading a lap, and also 1 point for leading most laps. So you'll see guys stay out and try to lead most laps today. But it looks like mostly everybody came down pit road.
Right, exactly. You know, most everybody did come down pit road, but you know, Dennis Wright currently right now he's in sixth position, excuse me, for that in the point standings right now. He's roughly 12 points behind the top 5 right now. So, you know, leading that bonus points looking that much closer. He's chasing Dale Reynolds, who's moved up 2 positions after Talladega. So, you know, if he can pick up some bonus points tonight for leading those laps, then possibility to have himself a better finish there ahead of Dale Reynolds, then he can take over that top 5 position right now. But currently right now, you know, in the points battle altogether, you know, we only got, I think, 6 races left, you know, now to, you know, till we get into our chase. And currently he's only about 14 points out of the 4th place position. So, you know, every bonus point is going to help at this point, you know, trying to get up to that position, as Dennis Wright currently, you know, has 3 poles but doesn't have himself a win. So he's not going to have that luxury of those bonus points going into the chase. So he's got to try to get as high as he possibly can prior to getting to the chase status.
Yeah, and you see the rest of these guys go ahead and pull down pit road. And what surprised me is Ben Britton was actually in 4th place coming down pit road that time. I was kind of interested to see if he's going to stay out, you know, for those, and just actually try to stay out on those 8-lap old tires. Maybe get a little bit of track position, but he did choose to go down pit road. So I was getting a little bit excited to see if he was going to stay out or not, and try to lead the rest of this field to the green.
Right, and he did decide to go in, but kind of looking around the down in the garage area there, looks like that last incident may have done a little more damage than we thought, or such on that McLucas in the 04 machine. As he has parked that thing now, called it a night. Looks like he may have had some issues with the electrical system or something after that spin. Not really sure what happened with the machine, but for either way, he's put that thing behind the wall and called it a night. So, you know, that's the second guy out of the race currently at this point. So, you know, 8 laps into the race, 9 laps now, we got quite a few cars starting to fall out. So, you know, guys are, this track is taking its toll already. But looks like Jerry Hinkle on that number 12 machine, as they're lined up double file, getting ready to come up to the restart here. Looks like he has stayed out, and he's going to lead them down the green this time. So Jerry Hinkle staying out there. He's going to get the points also for leading a lap here. So he'll come back to green here in just a sec. Jerry, that's interesting to see. He's going to stay out there and take that strategy to try to stay out in the front there and bring them down to the green. So very unusual move for Jerry Hinkle there. So we'll see how this pans out for him.
Yeah, and you know, you had Jerry Hinkle on that in 1st place, and also Todd Layton on the right. But right behind them are the guys that were leading this race not just 2 laps ago, of Ben Bando and Luis Bussa. And Bussa's going to start on the Ben's going to start on the inside. He is pushing the 12 car down the front stretch and going into 1. So I'm hearing the caution has waved again.
Yeah, I was about to allude to that same fact there, Stephen. It looks like, you know, that Bando at 33 was really giving a good shove to Jerry Hinkle on that 12 on that last restart there, getting him out and up to speed really quick. They were able to jump out ahead of that outside line pretty quickly. So very interesting. As looks like this one may have involved the 99. Not quite for sure, but looks like Dennis Jenkins has put things behind the wall there. Not really sure what happened. As we'll be bringing up the replay pretty soon here, but it's going to be interesting to see what happened to that 99 machine of Dennis Jenkins there. Unfortunate night for him also, as I know he was he's been having some unfortunate luck over here with races this year. You know, Dennis Jenkins, being one of our veterans, have been around here for a while, just is not having the luck this year and kind of finishes he's used to having out that 99. So unfortunate break for tonight for him. But up front, that'll lead Jerry Hinkle to lead a few more laps now, so it's going to be interesting to see if he decides to pit here this time. As looks like he's going to come down pit road here, moving down onto that inside, as well as Layton looks like he's going to stay out. Todd Layton will take over that number 1 position. So you know, he's going to stick it out and get out there in front, lead him a lap, and get himself that bonus point also to kind of help things out. So, you know, a lot of guys, not a lot actually coming down pit over here. Looks like about maybe 8 or 10 cars coming down to pit road. So a lot of guys are deciding to stay out this time as we really, you know, a lot of those guys pitted on the last go-round didn't even get a full lap in. So they don't feel like their tires have been used up, haven't really used anything up on the car. So a lot of guys are going to stay out, and with them pitting, you know, that's going to bring the number 1 position back to Ben Bando there in the 33 machine. So put Bando back on point once again. And that'll also bring Louis Bussa up into the number 2 position and push McKinney back to the number 3 position at 42. But look who's also made it back up there now at 16 of Brian Lee, currently running in 5th place. So he's definitely out here doing what he's got to do tonight to try to make up maximum points, get himself back into that point lead overall for before going into the chase.
Yeah, this is the time that he's going to have to maximize points. I mean, he had trouble a couple weeks ago and you know, took a dive in the points and allowed Ben Brenton to go ahead and take over those points. I think he was only by 8 or 9 points, so it's not too much. But the good thing is for him is that they have a chase system, and these guys will be going into the chase, and I believe it's going to be, you know, about 5 or 6 races. So it's basically the playoff for us. He would go in. I don't believe he's got a win, so he's not going to have any points under his belt. But at this time, he's being in 2nd place, guaranteed a spot for that chase. So right now, all he's trying to do is, you know, lead or you know, do exactly what he's been doing all year, and he'll get into the chase and get into that playoff system.
Yeah, and you think about those bonus points that are going into the chase there, Stephen. Right now, out of the top 14, as they, you know, coming into tonight's race, we only have 4 drivers in that top 14 who actually have a win. So if they were to go into the chase right now, the number 1 seed would be Jeremy Enix in that number 29 machine, who has 3 wins so far this year. So followed right behind with 2 wins, Vasquez and Dale Reynolds. So, you know, it would be a fairly tight battle right now. But the one I think we need to talk about, you know, so far with the chase battle right now is 27 points out of the chase is Louis Bussa in that number 3 machine. He's, as I said, 23 points out of the top 14 right now, but he has the most wins of the season right now. So it's going to be very interesting. Or excuse me, he's 2nd best in the wins. Ben Bando currently in 20th has the most wins. So you know, our 2 biggest race winners of the year have, you know, are both find themselves outside the top 14 out of the chase right now. So those 2, Bando and Louis Bussa, have got to make max points over the next 5 races to get themselves into that top 14.
Yeah, but we have a rule in place as it is that these guys have to maximize, you know, how many races they show up to per year. So as long as they are, you know, doing that, Louis Bussa will have to maintain that and you know, not miss any more races. Basically, I think he's 2 races away, so he just got to be able to get in based on that. So it's going to be a tough fight for those guys on the outside looking in, but it is very possible for them to get in because of how tight that 10th through, you know, 13th really is, or 10th through 15th and 16th really is.
Yeah, just like you said there, looking, you know, kind of looking just like you talked about with that rule in place, they have to make 20 races to be eligible for the chase. Right now, our biggest race winners of the year, Ben Bando, has 5 wins so far this year. He finds himself 80-plus points out of that top 14 right now, and has 13 starts. So he's going to have to make every race from here on out to be eligible for the chase. So it's going to get really interesting as we get back to green flag racing here, and they lead them down into turn 1. Ben Bando's still out on the point there. Looks like he's getting a good push back there behind him from from McKinney there, pushing him out into the front position as he's battling side by side right now with Louis Bussa. But looks like they sorted that out, got back in single file. Louis Bussa moves down on that inside, and they get back into single file racing here. Looks like everyone got to turn 1 and 2 okay there as we head down into the back stretch. So this is a point you're going to start seeing some of these guys start stretching things out a little bit.
Yeah, and McKinney there had a little bit of trouble on that restart. He got to that bottom on the inside of the 3 car, and it looked like it wobbled on him. So he had to get out of the gas, which allowed the 3 to get by on the outside, which is going to be really hard here to pass on that outside. You're going to have to count on, basically sharing with a couple of fenders with these guys, get them arrow loose, and try to get them out of that bottom groove. Definitely going to be hard to pass on the outside, but unless that guy on the inside gets loose.
Yeah, about the only way I think you'll be able to make that pass on the inside, be on the outside of that guy before you get into the corners and cause him to really have to get out of the throttle a little bit extra to make that, because he's not going to have that line to slide up in, coming out of the corner. That's going to be the kind of a key here tonight with making that pass on the outside. Is you're going to have to be pretty much there before you get into the corner. It looks like Lewis Buster might be, eating up a little bit of time here into that lead of the 33 of Ben Bando, but Bando's looking pretty strong out there in that 33 tonight, so, he keeps that thing out of trouble and keeps himself in a position where he's at. He's got looks like a good car here as McKinney pulled out once again, kind of looked on that inside of Lewis Buster in that number 3 machine, but then tucked back into foul as they head down into turn 1 there.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about drafting, is you got all these guys on that outside line, and it makes it hard for somebody that's wanting to pass on the inside to go. He pulls out of line, he starts losing that draft, and that actually gives the advantage to the 3 car as well as the 16, because the 16 is now pulling on the 3 instead of the 42. You got to have springs here as much as you do pretty much anywhere else that's super speedway style, and that's just because of how the aerodynamics is on this car. You're going to need some help, but once that 16 car gets there, I wouldn't count out him going with the 42. At that point, he's going to try to basically break that draft and allow for the 42. He's got to push him under the 3. The 16's got to keep a relatively good distance between him and the 42. Otherwise, if there's any opening after the 42 gets by, 3 cars is going to close the doors. So you've got to be bumper to bumper whenever you pass somebody here on the inside if you can bring a friend.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate, looking at how they're running right now. It looks like those top 3, Bando, Busa, and and McKinney are starting to move away from Brian Lee a little bit in that 16 machine too. So, it's taking away that advantage that McKinney may have there as a chance to make that run. So, as we know, Bando and Lewis Buster, they are teammates and they run together. So, these guys are going to stick together as teammates. So. But kind of looking back to the field here, some of these guys we kind of haven't talked about tonight, but have been making a, we talked about earlier. I'm going to look back here in 24th position. That number 24 of Chuck Garcia, you alluded to it a little bit earlier there, Stephen. Chuck is continuing to fall as the race goes on. He's back in 24th position now after having a pretty decent start for the night, starting position. He's lost quite a few positions, and looks like that car might not be right at this early juncture of the race for him.
Yeah, it's the good thing is we're so early in this race. He's got to work on that car. It looks like he's probably a little bit loose going in and out of the corner, so he's not able to maximize throttle, and that is one thing you have to do. You have to be able to get back to the throttle here at Indy, or else because you won't maximize speed. And like we spoke, you have to be, you're going to be full throttle coming out of turns 2 and 4. Well, if he's not able to get back into it coming out of 1 or 2 or 1 or 3, then it slows down the exit of all the other turns. So just a little bit of problems right now early in the start of this race, but I look forward to Chuck getting back to the front, maybe even getting that car fixed to the way he likes it.
Yeah, that you are, and we kind of alluded to, I'm looking here too, in that number 5 position, the 83 of Timmy St. Jean. We spoke about him during happy hour and such. He was about, just about a second off the pace during practice and trying to find some speed out of that car, get things kind of lined up. Looks like he's been able to get some speed out of it. Maybe not quite where he wants it just yet, but he's been able to put that car up there in the number 5 position and got some help there behind him in the form of Gutierrez, Melton, and Kevin Buchanan. What looks like he's been able to get a little something out of that car since what we saw out of that machine in happy hour. So he might be starting to get a little happier with that machine now, as he's starting to look like he's making some fairly decent speed out of it. And if he can continue to work on that throughout the night, he's definitely going in the right direction with his speed right now. But he's got that train right there behind him. You talked about the draft too, so You know, he's looking real good right now, and if he can get up there, you know, get up behind Brian Lee and put a pretty good little pack together there, they might be able to start whittling away some on this lead that, you know, that front pack has been able to get away with, as Brian Lee seems to, you know, he's holding on that number 4 position, but seems to be losing touch with those front 3. But tell you what, Stephen, how about we cut away here for a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with live action here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the Game Informer 400.
Link engaged.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time using our crystal clear voice technology. As a pioneer in the industry, TeamSpeak has become one of the most recognized brands in online gaming and voice-over IP solutions. TeamSpeak features include a customizable toolbar, a clickable server icon and support for channel icons, custom graphics and VB code-enabled info panes, detailed user info and support for uploading avatars, firewall-friendly file transfer, tabs, public and private text chat with logging, custom skins, themes and sound packs, and much more.
I'm someone that's more than just a casual gamer. It's important to me to have fast, organized, quality voice comms. With TeamSpeak, I'm able to quickly customize user permissions and email a privilege key to an offline user. So the next time they log into the server, they'll be set up exactly how I want them to be. TeamSpeak also lets us do file transfers, assign player rank, insignia, upload avatars, or create custom skins. For me, there's no better choice out there than TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak is free to use for non-commercial entities. Low-cost professional hosting is also available through our global network of authorized TeamSpeak host providers. For online gaming titles, social networks, government, military, or simulator projects, TeamSpeak also offers a software development kit. The TeamSpeak SDK allows developers to integrate our technology directly into their existing product or service. So no matter which game you're playing or with whom you wish to communicate, TeamSpeak has you covered. TeamSpeak. Flexible, powerful, crystal clear voice communication on any platform.
to Indianapolis Motor Speedway here for the Game Informer 200 tonight, sponsored by NuffWORLD TV. But, while we were going away to commercial break, top two kind of stayed the same there. Lewis Bussa leading the way now, just got away on the 33 of Ben Bando. But they were able to put away a little distance on Travis McKinney up there at that number 3 position. But, some of these guys that have made some moves so far, Chris Melton has been able to move that number 78 machine up into the 4th position, getting around Brian Lee. And one of the things we were touching on just before we went to commercial break, Timmy St. James was running that number 5 position, had that pack of 3 coming up behind him. But that pack of 3 was able to move around him, and they kind of, sorted out, so to speak. That pack of 3 that was together is now a pack of 2 with Kevin Buchanan in 6th place, and Dale Reynolds now running up in the 7th place. So Dale Reynolds starting to find his way up towards the front in the earlier part of this race. So he's moving from way back in position there, but he's starting to move forward, starting to make a charge now towards that front position. So looks for Dale Reynolds, as we talked about during pre-racing, one of the guys who seems to know how to get himself around here with a average finish of over 4 races, all in the top 5. So he definitely knows how to get up there and run that car.
Oh, man, and we have a car in the back that just spun out. I'm trying to get a number 5 of Kyle Lent. Not exactly sure what happened.
Yeah, looks like that's going to bring out our caution here, too. So Kyle Lent definitely looks like just kind of went around there, maybe lost the handling on it, but looks like he's got a tire down now, trying to make his way down to pit road, and does so safely. So, he gets that number 5 machine down onto pit road, so that's going to be an unfortunate break for Kyle, who was having a pretty good run there tonight, running inside the top 10 when he had that incident. So that's going to cause him some headaches as far as getting down pit road right now, the damage that's done to the car. And then coming down pit road right now with pit road closed, that's also going to put him a longest line penalty when we go back on the restart. So definitely a bad break for Kyle Lent, the number 5 machine there. As we try to get the replay, kind of find out what happened with Kyle. Wasn't able to see from the vantage point I had there, Stephen, what may have happened to him.
Yeah, right now we're still looking to see what exactly happened. It did happen out of turn 4, and I looked.
Yeah, as we look right now, like we were talking about, Lewis Bussa was able to get around that number 33 of Ben Bando, so that'll put Lewis Bussa up on the point as, we'll be giving you a replay here. Not quite sure what happened there with him. It looks like they just got away from him a little bit.
Yeah, it looked like he just got a little bit loose going into turn 4, and they just come around on him. A lot of heavy damage to the front of that car.
Yeah, looks like he just got in there, and that rear end it definitely didn't hold, that's for sure. And that rear end went around on him, got up into the wall pretty heavy there, almost backed it back down into the inside wall at the same time. So, that would have been even more damage for him. Unfortunate break there for number 5 of Kyle Lent, like you said, who was having a good run up until that point. But unfortunately, that those tires, looks like they may have just heated up the tires, and it kind of got away from him getting down in there. But,
yeah, most of our leaders came down pit road this time.
Yeah, it looks like most of the lead pack did head down pit road this time. Some of the guys that did stay out there, number 27 we talked about earlier of Dale Reynolds right now leading the way as he's running right behind him. And kind of a surprise there, looking right in front of him is that 34 of Ben Britton, who was the first, who's been running kind of in the back there most of the night so far. Looks like he may have been in danger of going a lap down before that last caution came out. So Britton definitely not having the luck he's wanting with that car tonight, being our points leader. He's got to try to stay in front of the 16 of Brian Lee, that's for sure. So he's definitely not having the kind of night he wanted out of that 34 machine. Currently sitting right in front of the leaders. So looks like he's going to get to go back to the tail end of the field there and stay on the lead lap at least. But definitely not the night he's been looking for here tonight as our points leader.
No, and it's actually surprising to see that he's in that position. He's been maximizing points all month long here lately, and at this point he's fallen behind on track adjustments and stuff like that. He's gonna have to work on the car to get out there in the front. But if he does stay out here and gets a wave around or anything like that, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, like you said, Stephen, it's still early. It looks like Britton and Reynolds and also Jovan Cherry is going to head down pit road right here. So most of those guys that have stayed out are now, heading in. As Darren Benz stays out in that 15 machine, looks like he'll take over that number 1 position, get him a lap led here. But yeah, Britton has definitely got, from the looks of things so far, he's got a lot of work to do with that car tonight to get it into shape. Looks like the setup just isn't there right now, but luckily enough for him, we're only on 30 laps in, 130 still to go. So he's got plenty of time to get that car worked on, get some things done to it, and, get it back up there to maximize points, as you said, which he's been doing so well at over the last month and a half or so. But now, one of the guys, we talked about, back to, so to speak, to the points again, but, right now, Brian Lee is, he's been up there running inside that top 10 pretty much all night, so he's definitely maximizing points at this point. So, he's only 8 points out of that number 1 position right now in the points. And, if this thing was to fall right now, that would be a big game for Brian Lee tonight, taking over the number 1 position. And, give him a pretty hefty lead at that point, too.
Yeah, right now we're actually showing that Brian Lee regained that points lead and is 13 points behind Brian Lee. So if it was to finish right now, we'd have a new points leader going or finishing up at Indy. But I have a feeling the way the 34 drive's been Britton, he's not done with it yet. He's going to figure out a way to get this car back to the front.
Oh yeah, he will. He's like you said there, Stephen. He's been known to be back there and have some troubles with that car during the early parts of the race, and hit on the right mixture, and get that thing back up to, to a good contending car, top 10, top 15 at least by the end of the race. And like I said, we got about 130 laps still here to go, so it is early. That's the good thing there for Britton at 34 is he's able to, he's going to have plenty of time still yet to make up, what's missing right now, get some adjustments on that car and get it up to speed, so to speak. But right now the man up front and has been the man to beat pretty much all night is that 33 machine of Ben Bando. He's led so far 20 of the first 21 now, the first 31 laps. So he's definitely looking very strong here tonight.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. I mean, this guy on Thursday night went and ran in our other Pure Sim series, so he actually pretty much dominated most of that race. Just fell back in some late race cautions and got behind. However, he was able to finish in the lead on Thursday night. So this is a guy that does know Indy. So not surprised to see him back in the front here.
Right, yeah, he's put on a real good show here tonight. We got Lewis Bussa, who's been right there with him most of the way, who's also led 5 laps so far tonight. So, that 3 and 33 are no strangers to being up here in the number 1, number 2 position. So, kind of just a flip-flop for them most of the time on who's the 1 and who's the number 2 position. But these guys definitely know how to get up front. They definitely know how to make adjustments to these cars, and the two of them work real well together, being teammates and such. So, not surprising to see the two of them up front. Now, one of the guys we kind of look at right there, he's up there in 4th. One of the ones, Travis McKinney there, like we alluded to a couple of weeks ago, had himself a real good run going, leading a lot of laps and such, but had some pit road trouble. So, that's one thing he's probably looked at and got some practice on here for Indy tonight, because he seems to have a real good car and is definitely, I would about bet, done some practice there on pit road, getting on and off, make sure he doesn't, ruin it for himself, like he did a couple of weeks ago. But I'm kind of looking back through here, and a lot of these guys, no real changes after the pit road and stuff. Everybody pretty much did hit this time, and so most of these guys got back out and fairly well about the same positions as we're coming down the front stretch here. Looks like we're getting ready to take the green flag, and we do. We got the green flag flying up in the air, so we'll get back to green flag racing here as these guys head off into turn 1. Looks like Kevin Buchanan is giving a real good shot to Ben Bando there, getting him up to speed, so to speak, getting down into 1, but looks like he may have had to lift a little bit and back out of it there.
I mean, it seems really odd that you have the same problem with Kevin Buchanan as the 42 had not too long ago. on that inside. It seems like once those guys give that shove to that leader, they get down there to the inside, and they're just not able to stay with him. I don't know if it's because they're hitting the apron and trying to follow him in there and just misjudging that line or what's going on, but definitely the second or third place car is not able to capitalize on something like that.
Yeah, because like you alluded to there, the last two restarts we've seen that, the front car, the number one position, being pushed all the way down into turn one with a good shot, and then it's like they get down to the inside line and have to maybe check up, stay out of the back of the leader, or exactly what it is, but they definitely lose a lot of momentum coming off of turn one.
Yeah, and that might be actually what it is that the leader, he's worried that he's going to spin off the leader or something like that, so he lets off a little bit early, and it allows that guy on the outside to get more speed in the corner.
Yeah, and right now pretty much everybody has gotten into a single file line, which is the wise thing to do here at this point in the early juncture. And a lot of these guys, are, especially the top four, definitely where they want to be, to kind of stay together, kind of get away, and then find it amongst themselves, But that pack right there, looking back there in fifth at number 78 of Chris Melton, that's one of the developing rookies over here in NuffWorld. We keep talking about him week in and week out, but he is definitely coming along and looking real good. As I'm looking at Travis McKinney there, it looks like he was giving Lewis Buss a real nice push coming up the front stretch there to try to make up a little bit of that ground they've lost to Ben Bando. So definitely using that draft, those three cars up there together to their own advantage, so to speak.
Yeah, you're right. And Kevin Buchanan was all over the 3 car. And I have a feeling this is where we're going to see Kevin Buchanan at 42 maybe once they, if they hook up nose to tail and are able to get the inside of the 3, they will be able to get that position away from him.
Yeah, it looks like that 78 of Chris Melton is starting to work himself into that picture, with those drafts. McKinney, as we were talking about, looks like he may have lost a little speed right there in one of those corners as he fell back off of McKinnon a little bit. And, that 78 of Chris Melton is starting to push up close together on him. But,
we did see him charging late in the run last time before the caution fell, so this gives him a new opportunity, gets him bunched back up, and we'll find out what Chris does have under that hood now.
Right, as he's been able to work with Travis McKinney there in at 42, and McKinney was able to get back and get that draft, so to speak, like you talked about, and kind of pull up on the bumper there of Kevin Buchanan there also, like we were talking about earlier. But so far, nobody's really been able to really put together a good drafting charge, so to speak, as we look to see here later on through the race.
No, not at this point. 33 has been leading them to the start-finish line about every lap here, even Lewis Busson, and he may be just sitting back and relaxing and just following the 33 right now. It's really hard to say, and especially how tough it is here. And I know we keep saying that how tough it is to pass here, but it is a difficult track to pass at. You pretty much got to set up a guy just, to get a run on him. You got to kind of set him up and then finally take advantage of that inside lane if you can get there in the corner before he does.
Yeah, you talk about that, but this is, in a lot of ways, this is like some of your short track racing that you'll run into a lot of times. Once you get into a rhythm, with these 4 corners like this, you kind of got to get into that rhythm. And you mess up one of the 4 corners out here, it can really cost you. With a big track like this, you could lose half a second. If you might have 2 mishaps, in a matter of say 5-6 laps of just getting into the corner wrong and shoving off 10-15 miles an hour or whatever, you lose half a second here, half a second there on a big track like this, and you can find yourself in a bad spot before you know it, outside that top 10.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, every corner is identical, but the problem is you're trying to hit all 4 of those same corners the same, identical. It's not like a track like Texas where you go into one and you hold the bottom or you hold the high side, and you're progressively turning throughout the whole turn, which is basically through 1 and 2. Here you have 4 distinct turns. You go into one, you're turning left, you go back to the middle of your steering wheel, go down a little bit of a straightaway, and then have to turn again into 2. That's only 2 turns, you got to do that 4 times at Indy. There is a lot of difference between a cookie-cutter track like Texas and Indy. That's what makes this track so unique and enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, and like you say, that's one of the things, a lot of these guys talking to them too, and talk about how unique it is. That's one of the reasons that a lot of these guys love coming here, because it's a different kind of challenge than, you could say like your cookie cutters you referred to, because it is a totally different track than any of those, and it's the one time a year we get to come here, and of course, this being a famed racetrack as it is, everybody wants to get up there and kiss the bricks, so to speak.
Absolutely. This track, it had only been running stock cars for 20 years. And before that, people thought stock cars at Indy? No way, they can't do it. Well, they came here 20 years ago, proved everybody wrong, and they've been coming here ever since.
Yeah, and as we're sitting there talking about, Indy and such, I'm kind of looking at this front 5-pack. It looks like Travis McKinney tends to get up there to Kevin Buchanan, but just can't get up onto the bumper, and seems like he loses a little bit of speed and kind of falls back to that 78 of Chris Melton, and then Melton's able to push him right back up there. But, Travis McKinney has not been able to stay hooked up on the back bumper of Kevin Buchanan, and like you talked about earlier, it's going to take a couple of cars right there together to mount the charge and get up there and pick off this 33 and number 33 right now. So, but Chris Melton has been able to maintain right there, right behind Travis McKinney at this point, and those top 5 cars have begun to really pull away from the rest of the field, starting to sort things out amongst themselves.
Yeah, they have, and I've been looking back here at the number 16 of Brian Lee, who on that last restart started in 7th and fallen back to the 10th position. He just got freight trained by a couple of guys. They are all lined up and got underneath him, and all 3 of them passed him. So it just, Brian's probably settling in, but at this point he's got to be able to, keep moving forward and not backwards. And right now he's moving in the wrong direction. Whereas Ben Britton, who was, I believe, scored in 28th, is now back up to 24th. So he's making up positions while Lee is losing them.
Exactly. That's one of the things, and Brian maybe starts to kind of look at that bigger picture too, as we talked about, in the points, and not just looking at this race. That's one of the things you alluded to there that we've been talking about all night. You get you get out there by yourself, so to speak. You got one car, and 2 or 3 cars are running together. They kind of catch that little bit of draft on you, and all 3 of them stick together and decide they want to go under you. There's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do with a single car to keep 2 front going around you, and that's kind of what happened with Brian.
Absolutely, and the thing is the longer he's not in single file line, the guys behind him are going to start catching him. So, at that point, and I found that out on Thursday, the best thing I think to do this early, a little bit early as it is, just go ahead and back up the throttle, let those guys get back by, and then get back to the throttle, get to the bottom, and find, that pacing to try to, get that draft back with those guys. That's what makes it so fun here, though, is if you got a guy passing you, and he passes you, but there's another guy following, if he doesn't have, if there's a car link there and you can fit it in, your best bet is to try to fit it back in, or else he's going to get underneath you and pass you as well.
Right, you are about that. I'm looking back up here in front at the lead. Looks like the lead pack is coming up on that 64 machine of John Lawler, and amongst that lead pack trying to get around Lawler, it looks like it kind of separated the whole pack, so to speak, as Lewis Buster fell about almost 2/10 of a second off that back bumper of Bando, and then Melton Travis McKinney fell almost 6/10 of a second back. So, as they got into lap traffic, looks like caused a little bit of havoc here with that front pack, as I'm sure they'll all 5 gather it back up here soon. But it kind of, if you look at them there, it stretched things out a little bit between those top 5 versus what they were running prior to catching up to some of that lap traffic.
Yeah, lap traffic does make a difference here. I mean, especially if they take that bottom side, because you really don't know what he's going to do at that point. You don't want to go on the outside and him push up. Worried about you coming around on the right side of him. So you just got to take your time and get around the live traffic the best you can, and hope it doesn't separate you too much. But it doesn't look like it's hurting the 3 at all, where the 42 and the 78 of Melton and Travis McKinney, it hurts them a little bit more otherwise.
Yeah, and talking about coming up on that lap traffic, you talk about right there, and looking at some of those positions, Kevin Buchanan was running up there, and right there with him, and, Melton's able to get around, and he's right behind McKinney now, and looks like he's got a pretty good draft on McKinney, so I'm sure they'll possibly be able to make up some time, but Buchanan fell quite a bit back out of that little lead package he's got going there. He's about half a second behind Melton now, so, you know, that's lap traffic definitely, you know, looks like Melton, wow, looks like Melton came off the corner there, had a good rush of speed. Looks like he's going to try to take the inside under Travis McKinney and try to push himself up into that number 3 position as he's got the inside line right there going into the corner. And looks like he should be able to slide back up, which he does, right in front of Travis McKinney. So push Chris Melton on up to the 3rd position. A very nice move the way he set that one up.
Absolutely, and that's what we were talking about, trying to get into the corners. If you don't get into the corners just right, or you have a lack of speed getting in the corner because you didn't do something right, that's exactly what happened as the 3 car gets around the 33 of Ben Bando.
Yeah, it looks like Lewis kind of used almost the same strategy. You know, he got him a good run. You know, once they got back up to the bumper on Bando and was able to get down into the corner of underneath Bando and was able to move that number 3 machine now back up into the number 1 position. So I guess Lewis may have said, okay, it's time to quit following the leader. I want to be out front a little bit, see what the view looks like.
Yeah, and he's going to get that clean air and actually see what the separation he can pull on Bando, if there is any. And that's just what usually the way you see the 3 car of Lewis Buster drive. You know, he'll sit there and just chill in second place and see what you're doing and stuff like that. And then when the time comes, he will definitely take that inside lane and make that pass. So we'll see if he can set sail here or if 33 can stay with him.
Yeah, but talking about those two, I tell you one that is impressing me. I mean, it's still fairly early in the race, but one of the guys that's really showing experience right now is that 78 of Melton. As he got around McKinney there, took over that number 3 position. He's just steadily been able to pull away from Travis McKinney and Kevin Buchanan, and he's out there, unfortunately, by himself right now with no abilities to draft. But you know, he's looking real strong right now. Starting to impress me with this young rookie here tonight at Indianapolis.
Yeah, right now he's only about just a little less than a second off of these guys, so he should still be able to catch that draft from them. As long as those 2 up front don't hook up for some reason and act like it's Daytona, I don't see a problem of him catching them unless he's struggling a little bit. But he's still making up time right there. He in the last lap he was 0.86 off of the leaders, and now he's 0.81, so he is slightly catching it there.
Yeah, he's starting to, reel him in, so to speak. So he's definitely, looks like he's got a real good car underneath him right now and feeling real good about it. So, you know, it wouldn't surprise me, another 20, 30 laps to see Melton at 78 up there trying to fight away with those battling, to get in that number 1 position and put Chris Melton out in the number 1 position. But, kind of looking back here a little further in the field, Stephen, I'm looking back here at 8th place, Timmy St. Jean, Brian Lee, in 9th. These guys have had a pretty good battle going on here over the last few laps. Lee and St. Jean have been able to get together, kind of, move away from that group. But a couple of laps ago, Lee, St. Jean, Gutierrez, and some of those guys, they were really had a dogfight going on out there for that 8th, 9th, and 10th position. But right now, they looks like they kind of settled things down. But Gutierrez kind of got hung out in the mix of all that racing going on.
Yeah, the 83 and the 08 of Danny Gutierrez had passed the 16 car, and it just seemed like they were trading spots 2 or 3 times. The 08 would get under the 16, and the 16 would get under the 08, and they just kept swapping spots. But it looks like now the 16 and the 83 have hooked up, and they're able to pull a little bit on these guys.
Yeah, those guys were they having some a real good battle going on there for quite some time, and kind of go back through the field here, looking a little bit further, some of these guys. You got a big pack back here looking in 20th position. Actually, it looks like about 17th on, to that. These guys have, they got kind of a similar battle going on there. You see guys swapping positions back and forth, but right now they kind of knows everything out, knows the hell with Darren Benz. Ben Britton is starting to work his way forward, like you talked about earlier. He's in that pack right now, currently running in the 21st position. So I'm sure he's going to be trying to use a lot of this draft with this big pack right here together. Try to make some position for himself. So he's definitely still fighting, starting to move forward. At this point in the race, one of the first times we've been able to see Ben Britton be able to use that car, and right now he's pushing Darren Benz. Looks like he's going to push him around Jerry Hinkle there, and took over the 20th place position here. So Britton should be moving into the top 20 here in the next half lap or so. So he's definitely starting to work himself into the right direction finally now, 50 laps into this race.
No doubt. He restarted in 27th position and then has gained 6 positions at this point. So he is making his way forward, and just as we speak about the leader or the points leader and the second place guy, Lee, who fell to 10th, actually moved back up to 9th. So Lee's starting to move back in the right direction as well, but Ben Britton is definitely coming.
Yeah, Ben is definitely, he got good just like that last time, took some major swings at that car, and looks like it's headed in the right direction for Britton, that 34 machine, who wasn't having the start of this race. He was definitely looking for there, but right now he's kind of lost the draft back there a little bit. He pushed Benz up through there. Benz has been able to get away from him now, so he's going to start having to find a new partner, so to speak. But kind of looking right behind him there, we talked about this guy early during the race, and number 25 of Todd Layton. You know, he found himself now back in the 21st position, so not sure if maybe the track changed a little bit on him, or he made an adjustment that didn't go well with that car, but either way, he is definitely fell back a bit, even though he's starting to move forward a little bit now.
Yeah, he definitely restarted. He restarted fairly close to Ben Britton, just actually right in front of him in the 26th position. He had fallen a little bit there early in the run, and is starting to gain his way back. As you can tell, he's in 21st position now, as Ben Britton actually made it into the top 20.
Yeah, and Ben's, like you said, you know, he's starting to make his way in the right direction. But I'm going to kind of go back up here in the front and see what's been going on while we've followed this. While we've been following this, looks like that first and second place machine of Louis Busser and Ben Bando have done just what we talked about. You know, they must have seen that Melton was starting to eat into that lead that they had there. These two have tucked in nose to tail, drafting with each other, you know, using that little bit of draft they get there. And they've really started pulling away now from Chris Melton, who was looking real good there for quite some time. They got about almost a 1.5 second we alluded to earlier that Melton was only about 8/10 back, but now it's that gap has grown to over a second and a half. So they definitely have seen what was going on behind them with Melton, and put those two collective heads together, so to speak, as well as the cars, and put those things into the wind, so to speak.
Yeah, and even you go back as far as the 4th position with Travis McKinney and Kevin Buchanan. Those guys are still sticking together right now, but they are 5 seconds off of the lead pack, so they are falling back as well. Not as much as Chris Melton is at this point, but they are still moving, a little bit further back. And then right behind them, you have the 8 car and the 51 car of Christian Vasquez and Nick Baines.
Yeah, Nick and Christian, surprising to me, you don't see these guys working together a lot of times, you know, but I've been kind of watching these two. They've swapped that 6th and 7th place position around quite a bit over the last 10-15 laps, but they've been working together pretty well so far, and they're starting to actually, put some time together, catching up to that 4th and 5th place position of McKinney and Buchanan, as we talked about earlier, who fell off the lead pace a little bit, but they're starting to eat up into a little bit of that gap too, and these guys may be looking to knock on the top 5 positions here before too long.
Yeah, we go back to the number 7 of Howard Wildrick. He just got around Gutierrez. So he's making his way forward now.
Yeah, Wildrick is continuing. He's one of those, slow and steady, so to speak, that we talk about a lot of times. You know, we haven't talked a lot about him so far tonight, but, he's steadily making progress towards that front right now, currently running in the 12th place position. So, he's not that far out of cracking that top 10 also. But kind of looking in front of them, one of the guys we spoke about a little bit earlier, too, at 83 machine is Timmy St. Jean, who we alluded to earlier, was not doing, he was about a second off there during happy hour practice and was looking to try to get some speed out of that machine, and had moved himself up into the top 10 there for quite some time, but looks like on this long run, the changes he's made to the car maybe ain't holding up to the speed over the long run that he thought they would. He finds himself now back there in the 11th place position, and trying to hook onto the draft maybe a little bit of that number 27 of Darrell Reynolds, currently in the 10th place position.
Yeah, he dropped back a couple of positions there after the restart, but he's starting to regain them back as he is chasing down the 27 car. He restarted in ninth position, so he's making up a couple of positions as this run goes on. That's definitely when you'll see what these guys got. I mean, early in the start, everybody's got the same amount of tires, but as they go through the run, we'll see who has been punishing those tires. So definitely got to take care of tires here. And I'm hearing that these guys are starting to get prepared for fuel for pit stops.
That's going to be one of the things we haven't really talked about, these green flag pits tonight, Stephen, but that could really shake up the race here, as we've seen quite a few times during the last 3-4 races. Those green flag pit stops can turn treacherous for some of these guys who maybe haven't practiced them, or who come in there maybe in that draft, like you talked about, 1- and 2-car draft, and come in with a little more speed than they're looking for. And that's when we'll get to see these brake bias and how they work with some of these guys, as they may not have it dialed in and ready for those pit stops when they come up on them.
Yeah, and we were just talking about the 83. Well, on Thursday, me and him decided to pit. We're teammates. We decided to pit a couple laps early, late in the race, and try to maximize as much tires as we could on the leaders. We both came in at the same time. Unfortunately, the 83 locked him up, and he almost actually hit the safer barrier right there in the middle on the front stretch. So it'll be interesting to see him try to get in the pits tonight and see if he doesn't make the same mistake.
Yeah, I'm sure with having that issue on Thursday night, Timmy has probably done some brake work, so to speak, over the last few days to try to get those brakes under control, so to speak. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, that happened to Timmy there on Thursday night. It's going to be interesting to see. Some of these guys who don't come out here and race with us on Thursday nights, this may be their first time hitting green flag pit, so they may have that same issue. We may see even some cars, getting into that safer barrier, like you said, as I'm here at the number 42 of Travis McKinney's going to be heading down pit road here within the next lap or so over the radio. So, like you said, some of these pit stops are coming up here real soon.
Yeah, and I'm also hearing that teammates of 83 and the 24, Timmy St. Jean and Chuck Garcia, are going to start making their pit stops as well.
Yeah, so a lot of these guys already coming up on green flag pit stops here, so that's definitely going to be interesting, to see how these green flag pit stops kind of play out with these guys. As Chuck Garcia right now showing him on pit road, so he's definitely done hit pit road. Looks like no issues there on that 24 machine of Garcia. Looks like he was able to get on cleanly, so good pit stop for Garcia.
As well as the 42 who's on pit road, and the 83 made it down safely.
Yeah, that's like we alluded to. I'm sure Kitty probably does some work on them brakes, just having that issue a couple of nights ago there. So, a lot of these guys, as Garcia is now coming out of pit, getting back up to speed. So, these guys are definitely pit road so far. The early takers, no issues, but we'll see as things come down, how this turns out. It looks like number 12 of Jerry Hinkle now is going to be coming down pit road too, so he decides to hit pit road. So this green flag pit stop's underway now, so we'll see if it picks up the lead pack any at all as we go along throughout the night.
Yeah, and you look at 160 laps now. I'm actually getting a new report on what fuel can make it. It looks like it's going to be about 35 to 40 laps, something like that. So it actually changes up the pit stop a little bit with these guys, and you can come in a little bit early, but you've got to have that pit strategy to make sure that you got enough to get it in. So if you do come in pits a couple laps early, it can help. I mean, you're going to be out there turning faster laps than those guys, and it's not unheard of that the leader going in under green flag pit stop doesn't come the leader going out.
Yeah, that is correct. And kind of looking up here in the fifth place position, that number 8 of Christian Vasquez, while we've been talking about the lead cars and the green flag pit stops going on, but Christian Vasquez, that number 8 machine, has been able to get around Dale Reynolds, Brian Lee, and a few others, and has moved himself up into the top 5 position now. So, he's currently shown about 11.5 seconds off the leaders, but he's been able to continue working his way back forward, has moved into the top 5 position now.
And as you can see on the left side of your screen, Nick Baines just made his pit stop and is now making the transition back onto the track. He comes up in the 23rd spot.
Yeah, we were looking at that, talking about that number 8 of Christian Vasquez. Kind of gives you an idea there as you look at that Timmy St. Jean, those fresh tires versus what Vasquez is out there running with those 30-plus lap tires. Kind of gives you an idea of the difference in speed there that these guys are going to have now with these fresh tires, as some of them even lost a lap, while going into pit. So go out to try to make up that lap. So, a lot of these guys who are fresher tires now, it's going to be interesting to see because some of these guys are going to be running much slower speeds on these older tires than some of these guys who, have made those early pit stops, came in and such, are going to be out there and probably get through the corners a good 5 to 10 mile an hour quicker than what the guys on older tires are getting around on.
Yeah, and we look back up to the lead. Nobody else is on pit road, but Louis Bussa is actually Louis Bussa and Ben Bendo have pulled to a 5-second lead over Chris Melton. And just about a lap ago, we got a report that they're about 6 laps away, so they are going to be starting to make their transition on the pit road as well.
Yeah,
so it's going to be get hectic here really early, or here in a second, as all these guys come down pit road. Dennis Wright makes his way down also.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be interesting to see with some of these top 5 guys if they're going to try to maybe hit a lap or maybe 2 before the leaders, to try to maybe maximize some tires for the short run there a little bit, or if they're going to play the strategy of wait and see when the leaders pit before they decide to head down pit road. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these top 5 guys will, if they'll follow suit with the leaders or maybe try to stay out or maybe even pit earlier than the leaders and try to use those tires to advantage maybe at one point in the race, as we got some a lot of good green flag racing going on out throughout the pack. But kind of looking at here, like I said, guy back there in 6th right now, of Dale Reynolds in that number 24 machine, he's putting together a good run as the night is going on. Didn't have the starting position maybe that he wanted on that last restart, but we talked about him during pre-race. He's got some stats, these tell some things, but he tends to be able to find himself up into the top 5 year after year here at Indianapolis. Really loves this track, and currently right now showed in 6th, so he's not that far out of knocking on that door of the top 5. So after he gets some, gets out here, gets some tires on after this pit stop, and get some fresh rubber on him, maybe able to make some headway once again as he did during the early part of this run. And wouldn't surprise me to see Reynolds in that number 27 up in the top 5 before another 30 laps or so.
Yeah, and just talking about Dale Reynolds, I'm actually currently in a points battle with him in the Pure Sim Series for Thursday's racing. And, I tend to be in the front a little bit earlier than Dale does, but the problem is every time we get to about 15, let's go about 50 laps to go in the race, who's in my mirror? He's 27. He's a late bloomer. He always likes to come from the back of the pack, it seems like, and make his way through. And then by the time the end of the race comes, he's knocking on the door of the top 5.
Right, yeah, he's one of those that, like I say, a lot of, if he, Dale's kind of one of those guys that he has the setup or he doesn't. If he's got the setup, he's up front most of the time throughout the entire race. But if he's one of those guys, who maybe he messed the setup by a little bit or such, he's a very smart racer, knows how to work on that car throughout the race. And like you said, Stephen, at the end of the race, you look up in the mirror and go, okay, there he is once again.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. As the 87 and the 08 of Kevin Kelly Jr. and Danny Gutierrez make their pit stops. They're making their way off pit road now.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly Jr., I've been kind of watching that car a little bit there. That's number 87 running that special paint scheme tonight, in memory of a loved one lost last year. He definitely, that car, he hasn't been able to get the... Seems like he may have missed the setup quite a bit on this one. He's had a lot of good runs throughout this rookie season of his so far, but so far tonight has been mired way back in the pack, so it doesn't look like he had the setup underneath that car that he was looking for tonight. But I'm sure, he's got Kevin Kelly Sr. over there, too, in his ear at the same time, and he's giving him all the adjustments that need to be made on that car, and I'm sure by the time this thing's all over with tonight, less than 100 laps to go or so, but I'm sure, that we'll get that car wound up and get some things figured out and get it back up there. He's currently shown in the 27th position right now, 2 laps down after that pit stop. So, but looks like we got quite a few guys heading down pit road right now, jumping down to get some fresh rubber and tires. Looks like Kevin Buchanan on pit road for sure. I can see him at number 67, who's been running up in the top 5 for a long time tonight. Kind of fell off maybe a little bit there at the end, but looking to get some fresh tires. I see Christian Vasquez also down there, who had moved into that top 5. So he'll give up a top 5 position, come down now and get himself some tires and fuel.
Yeah, Justin Barton, Chris Melton, and Buchanan, Vasquez, Hendrick, Wildrick is all on pit road as well as the leaders. They are making their transition down now.
Yeah, and if you look at that big puff of smoke up there at the entrance of pit lane there, Ben Bando locked them up quite a bit getting on the pit road. So, he had those front tires locked up for quite some time. So, it looks like maybe he was just about to have some troubles there, was able to avoid it getting on the pit road, but he definitely had that car locked up for quite some time. You're trying to get her slowed down to get on the pit road. So with the leaders now on pit road, it's Bando and Lewis Buston at 3 and 33. That gives up the lead to that 27 car we talked about a little bit earlier of Dale Reynolds, who was also on the radio. We talked about he's getting ready to come down pit road too. So kind of shows the strategy. Looks like Reynolds is going to stay out there a little bit longer than the leaders. Try to maximize the best of what he possibly could there. Maybe lead a lap, get that bonus point, come in and see how these tires hold up as he starts making his entrance down on the pit road. Looks like he's getting on pretty good there and didn't lock the brakes up or anything. So that'll hand over the lead to the number 23 car of Frankie Samato follows him down pit road. So, and looks like Jovan Cherry also is coming down. So a lot of these guys who stayed out a little bit longer than leaders are now going to head down pit road, as well as the 4th place position currently shown Kevin Kelly heading down pit road. So a lot of these guys are heading down pit road. So now you're going to hand over the lead to some of these guys who pitted a little bit earlier. As Travis McKinney comes across, he will be scored as the leader after getting to the end of pit road there, and he's out there on the track, as well as he's being followed right now by Dennis Wright at number 4, who's currently scored in the 23rd position. But with those pit stops, Travis McKinney getting in a lot earlier than what Bando and Lewis Busta did. Currently shown after everybody cycles through the pit stops now, McKinney's got a 4.3 second lead over second place Ben Bando, and now third is relegated to Lewis Busta. So it's going to be interesting to see with McKinney pitting that much earlier than what our leaders Bando and Busta does, how long it will take these guys to kind of eat away at that lead, as we're going to have, it looks like about 7, maybe 8 laps fresher tires on their car right now than what McKinney does. So it'll be interesting to see, like I said, how long it takes to eat away at that lead.
Yeah, and the funny thing is you said the lot 33 locked up his tires getting into pit road. Well, he made it out before the 30 car did, so he's now leading the 3 car, and they're definitely trying to chase down the leader of Travis McKinney.
Yeah, and his leader, Travis McKinney, is coming up behind the 30 car of Kevin Kelly right now. Looks to put him a lap down, so that'll put Kevin Kelly back another lap there as he just completes his pit stop. So that's one of the guys, too, not having the run he wanted tonight, that's for sure. Currently shown 1 lap down, lost the lead lap there while he was on pit road. But like I said earlier, he's going to have much fresher tires also than what our leader does right now. So probably won't take him too awful long to get back up there and get his lap back. But, you're going to have those fresh tires right behind him, too. They're currently eating away pretty quickly at that lead. They're down to a 3.5 second lead right now. So, those guys, Bando and Busta, are definitely coming, making them charge back up to take those top 2 positions. But, we'll see how these tire situations play out.
It looks like they're gaining about a 1/2 second to 3/4 of a second each lap, and when Travis McKinney is exiting turn 2, they are exiting turn 1. So they're not too far away, and they can definitely see the light of the leader.
Yeah, and one of the guys talking about the pit stops and these green flag pit stops and such. Chris Melton, we referred to a little bit earlier back there in that 78 car. He fell back to the 5th place position after pit stop. So he may have been trying to be a little extra careful, trying to get on the pit road there. Lost a couple of positions, it looks like, as Nick Timms was able to get by him in that number 51 machine. Currently running in the fourth place position. So Melton is currently showing about 11.5 seconds back of the leader. So looks like he may have had a unusually slow pit stop down there, but that may have been just from trying to avoid all the issues we talked about with locking the brakes up and such, and being a little extra careful.
Yeah, and it really depends on when these guys actually peel off and make their way down pit road. Because like we're talking about Travis McKinney, he pulled into pit road early, and that's really I think that's Travis's strategy right now, and I've seen him do it in earlier races. Is he likes to pit a little bit early, as does Nick Dane. So those guys getting down pit road relatively early, they're going to wear those tires out. Like you said, Bussa and Bando were able to get another 7 laps out of their car as the leaders. Right now it's affecting them just because they fell back to the second and third position, but it hasn't affected them all that much, and they are making headway on Travis McKinney. They're already down to a second and a half deficit, so they, just a lap and a half ago we were talking they were 3.5 seconds behind, so they are on their way.
Yeah, and it's kind of showing if you look up there at McKinney right now at number 1 position. Those older tires that he's on right now, as Dennis Wright has been able to get around that number 4 machine, get his lap back, and Kevin Kelly is now making his move down onto his inside. So there's a definite difference here, especially in the corners with those tires versus what these other guys have got right now. If you consider it a little bit earlier, it's part of the strategy, and Bando and Bussa are almost there as we speak. They're about 8 tenths of a second, about a quarter of a second away from getting back up there on McKinney. As Kevin Kelly looks like he got a little bit loose coming off of turn 1 there, and had to go way down on the inside there, kind of carry that car back up together, and currently trying to work his way, get back onto the lead lap here around Travis McKinney. He's got Bando and Bussa following up real close behind him, so he's got to start making a move here real soon.
Yeah, and look at that inside car and the 30 car go right under the 42, and look how quickly that got the 33 and the 3 back up to the bumper of him. So it makes a lot of difference as the 30 car did get his lap back right there. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to hold that lap with the 33 knocking on his door, but they definitely, it's a closing race.
Yeah, look at that. The way they kind of all came through there and stuff. Once Kevin Kelly, made that move down on the inside of McKinney, it, slowed McKinney a little bit, allowed the Bando and Bussa to kind of catch up there quite a bit. But now they kind of, there's a gap between Bando and Bussa after McKinney was able to drop down in that number 2 position behind Bando. But Bussa was able to clear McKinney now, relegates him back to 3rd. But he was able to separate those 2 leaders a little bit there.
Yeah, and the problem is you still got the 33 in lap traffic. He's got 2 more cars to get around. And if Bussa can get to his bumper before he gets to theirs, he'll be in all right shape just because he'll be able to clear them at the same time. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen right now with the 30 car, so hopefully he's counting on these last cars to give him that extra advantage to get back to his bumper.
Yeah, and as he's got those 2, as we talk about getting into some traffic there, these guys, the 21st and 22nd machine of Wright and Kevin Kelly, they are both on the lead lap right now, so they're not going to be easy to give that position up. And then you add on top of that, like I said, they're 21st and 22nd as Kevin Kelly goes low, goes around Wright there, so they're fighting for position too, not only to stay on the lead lap, but also to fight for the lucky dog and also for position. So these guys aren't just going to go away, so to speak.
No, you're right, but it looked like the 4 may have given that position to him, but had he not, you would have had 2 lap down cars fighting for that lucky dog position if they do happen to fall behind, the 33. So it's a tough decision at that point. Do you want to race the guy for a lap down and also for the lucky dog right in front of the leaders? But at this point, the 30 car is still on the lead lap, and he's looking for a caution to come out anytime as possible as the 3 car catches up to the 33 now.
Yeah, and as we're talking about that, as the 33 Bando looks to the inside of Kevin Kelly, and like I was going to say, it's just a matter of time before they would go around him. So that definitely though leaves Kevin Kelly in that number 30 car in the lucky dog position right now as Lewis Bussa makes his way underneath too. But they have really put just kind of goes to show those much fresher tires that Bando and Bussa have. They've pulled out over 2 seconds on McKinney now, who is out there running per se by himself. He has nobody to run with at the moment. No drafting help like Buffa and Bando have. So, he's out there on those older tires and nobody to run with him to pick up that a little bit extra speed, from that draft. So he's in a pretty precarious position, so to speak, right now.
Yeah, and if we go back just a little bit further to Nick Thames, we haven't talked much about him. I mean, even on the last restart, the guy, the last caution that we had, he started in 11th place, and now he's made his way up to 4th place, which is his highest. His lowest of today is in 28th, so he's definitely got a good race going right now, and he's in 4th place and is looking to stay there for right now. It'll be interesting to see how the pit stops on the next cycle work out. Based on where he falls to after that and how long if he's going to pit early, definitely earlier than our leaders. So we're definitely going to have some shakeups in positions now that we got one pit stop in.
Yeah, Nick Sims at 51 machine seems like he's running kind of that strategy race tonight, like you said. Maybe get up to where he can get. Kind of stay there. He's not really been looking like to me so far pushing that car extra hard or making any, per se, unnecessary risk with it, and currently finds himself in the 4th place position and having a good run here tonight. So, but he's got Chris Melton back there at number 78. We've been talking about a little bit tonight, quite a bit. Starting to, make up a little bit of time on him, as he also has fresher tires than Nick Sims. Who I think Nick may have pitted like 3, maybe 4 laps earlier than what Melton did, so he's going to be having a little challenge for that 4th place position here before too long.
Yeah, I believe Chris came in on that pit stop while he was in the 4th position, so he came out only 1 position back, so it's not too bad in my book. I mean, the guy's holding his position relatively well. And we go back even 1 back further, which is Kevin Buchanan, and he also was right behind Chris Melton right before that pit stop. So they both lose only 1 position, and not a bad run for those guys. As we were talking about the 27, who is making his way forward, Dale Reynolds. He's holding really good. I mean, he went in, I believe, in around the 7th place position, came out in the 7th place position. Right now, he's about 17 seconds behind our race leaders, but. He's definitely got a good run going for him right now.
Yeah, he's definitely having himself a good run tonight. He's been, came in about the same position he's in right now, was able to hold that position, like you said, under the pit, that last pit stop, and has been able to maintain throughout the night. And I'm sure, we'll be looking to eat up some more positions, but right now he's just got to make up some time on the track, as, he had to start pretty deep in the pack there on that last restart we had, but being able to pick away and make positions quite awesome. So, but he's still working his way towards the front, as he's about 5 seconds difference between himself and Kevin Buchanan, which they are both definitely on different pit stop strategies altogether. So, he may be able to make up some position or possibly even lose some time on Buchanan under the when it comes to that next pit strategy. Is if my calculations are correct, it won't be a whole lot longer. We'll see, another 10, 15 laps. Some of these guys who did pit early and some of the first guys that we saw coming in, they're going to be heading down pit road once again. So, look for another shake-up if this thing stays green here in about another 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, it's so interesting whenever you've got guys that are actually short pitting a little bit. You have so much change in positions because of how well tires here makes a difference. I mean, the speeds are greatly enhanced. I mean, you can just get so much speed out of tires. But that's another thing is you see that those guys go in and they're pitting early. However, they want to maximize every little bit that they can on these leaders, and that's what I think may have happened with Travis McKinney. Is Travis got out there and knows that, hey, I'm 5 seconds ahead of these guys. I'm going to try to keep pulling on them as much as I can. Well, you're definitely abusing those tires, so it's going to make a difference in this.
Yeah, but you talk about these different pit strategies we've been talking about throughout the night, but I'm going to go back here and look right now in the 4th place position. Go back and talk about him once again. That 78 of Chris Melton. While we've been talking about all this other stuff going on around the track, he's been able to catch Nick Thames and has now gotten around Nick Thames, moved himself into 4th position, and isn't far off the back bumper now of Travis.
Not at all.
He's running 3rd.
Yeah, he's going to be knocking on the door of the 42 here in a couple of seconds.
So Melton's staying out there like we talked about a little bit earlier, staying out there a little longer than what Melton and Nick Timms did. Has now going to find himself here in the next couple of laps, I'm sure. Moving back up into that number 3 position. So he's going to come in. Well, he's going to actually pick up some track position based on where he came in the last time on the pit stop.
Yeah, that'll actually put him in the 3rd position now, and as we spoke, he went in 4th, came out 5th, and now made his way around Nick Things and starting his progression around the 42 car. So, pitting early at this point, I'm not seeing a whole lot of advantage. Now, there is a difference of, we talked about 78 of Chris Melton. His pit stop seemed a little bit slow getting in and off of pit road. He wasn't able to capitalize on that part of it with the 33 and 3 as they are passing for the lead right now. 33 just got underneath the 33. Excuse me, the 3 got under the 33 of Bando, and he actually was able to do it using lap traffic. It looked like he squeezed him and held him on the high line. Let's see if we can get a replay of that one.
Yeah, it's kind of noticing there. It looks like as they were putting that squeeze play on, it looks like Leighton may have tagged the wall there just a little bit on that right-hand side. So it's interesting to see when we look at the replay if it did get into the wall, but that might cause a little damage to Leighton and kind of hinder his race tonight, so to speak.
Yeah, and here on the right side of your screen, you see the 3-car look underneath, and it looked like the 33 of Bando was going to go and make that same move, but Todd Leighton was on the high side, and he wasn't able to, get, or the 3 made it below the 33 before, and he was kind of just using a pick, and that was a smart move by Lewis Plus. And you're right, 25 did get in the wall.
Yeah, so, you see that right side just a little bit there, Buck, and kissing up against the wall, so that, on a track like this, a little bit of damage may hinder you, unfortunately, on the aerodynamics, especially if you can get behind somebody. But right now, Leighton out there running in 19th position by himself with no drafting help. So, I think that's going to probably slow him possibly 2-3 tenths a lap out there just on that little bit. As I'm hearing some of these guys, we talked about pit strategies of what they are. We got some guys who are going to be coming down as a team, a little bit early here once again.
Yeah, and I believe these guys were one of the first ones to go ahead and pull off and make that transition to pit road, which is Timmy St. Jean in the 83 car, as well as the 24 Chuck Garcia. These guys must have some sort of plan working out together because they're pitting together, and I say they're pitting together. They're in separate positions on the track. They're separated a little bit, but they may have the same fuel strategy in this race.
Yeah, that may be one of the tricks that, like you talk about, as we go throughout the night here, these guys, their fuel strategies are definitely going to play out throughout the night. But, Jacob, I understand you've been hanging out down on pit road, kind of scanning some of the radios and got some updates for us. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. Right now, the 3 and the 33, those guys are staying on the same strategy. They're going to run their tanks out of gas. At pretty much every pit stop until the end, so there's no short pitting for them. And also, I've heard down in the number 20 car, Javon Cherry, he's working on a fuel strategy. So look for him. He could be one of the last cars out on the track. So he's saving some fuel, and he's working on a fuel strategy right now.
All right, well, thanks for those updates there, Jake. It sounds like a lot of these guys are thinking, kind of like what we are, Steve, is, they're starting to look at these fuel strategies as everybody's gotten stretched out here so far across the track. We may have seen our final cautioner tonight, with everything spread out the way it is. So a lot of these guys are already, starting to make plans on, 80 laps from now, what may be the case.
Yeah, and as we were speaking about that, they 83 and 24 did make their way down pit road.
But yeah, all of these guys, like I say, pit strategies and fuel mileage, especially the big track like this where you get spread out so much, can play a big factor in it. And like Jake was talking about there, that number 20 at Javon Cherry, is he plans on staying out there till pretty much the tank is dry this time by and trying to save some fuel at the same time. But he's been able to move his way up through the pack pretty nicely tonight while he's been kind of quiet about it. He's moved up into the well placed position right now, just in front of Darren Benjamin, number 15. But he's been putting together a pretty good run, based on how far back he was at one point there. So, doing all this under green. So it's definitely, pit strategy is something that's going to be able to definitely help him out as the race goes on tonight.
Yeah, what, I'm curious right now, and maybe if we can find out if Jacob can find out from our leaders as well, maybe he heard something on pit road, whether these guys are actually having any, or if they're going to need fuel or save fuel for this long run. If this stays green from here, will they be able to make it in a couple of pit stops, or is there going to have to be a conservation of fuel at this point?
Yeah, as I'm looking here, it looks like the 42 of Travis McKinney is the next taker down on pit road. He is heading down already, pulling into his parking area, his pit stall right now, getting some service. But we got another one to our pit road there. It looks like a lot of these guys are going to start cycling in now. So definitely a lot of different pit strategies going on out here right now, and looks like. That machine of McKinney is going to stick to the early pitting that he got himself into there a little bit earlier. Not going to try to stretch anything specific here on this point, and stay with that same strategy that he had as he comes back out onto the track now. Looks like he'll be in the 19th position. Still just fell a lap down while he was in the pits, but I'm sure we'll get that back. As everything cycles through. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these pit strategies play out throughout the race now with. If we don't have any more cautions especially. But that'll move, like I say, a lot of these guys, that moves Dale Reynolds in that 27 machine. He takes over the 5th place position now, as he's got Kevin Buchanan, right there, not far behind him, with a lot of help from some of these guys. But Dale Reynolds has moved right up on the back bumper now and looking to make a move on Nick Timms, for 4th position as he's moving along the way. So, Reynolds is making a move, moving himself up into the 4th place position, getting around Nick Timms now. So, move Reynolds forward another position on completely different field strategies than what Nick Timms is. As also, you got Kevin Buchanan now, who's pulled right up on Nick Timms' bumper too, looking to take away that number 5 position. So, if Buchanan gets around, which it looks like Timms moved down a little bit and he's going to allow him to make that pass, that'll move Buchanan up into the top 5 now. So, we see a lot of different guys on a lot of different strategies. They're especially starting to play out now. With Nick Timms, I know he's been out there probably about 5 laps longer than what Buchanan and Reynolds both have been, and they're able to get around, move themselves into the top 5 now at the end of this long fuel run for Timms.
Yeah, and then what he might be doing is, short pitting one time and then try to maximizing fuel. As Jacob just reported back from the leader saying that they are going to be able to pit twice more from here on out, as we're on lap 93 of 160. So, when we spoke, we've got an update that was about 35 laps of fuel. So this is going to put them under a little bit of a stretch here. I don't think we're going to have a fuel run unless we get a caution just happen to be timed at the right time.
Yes, with with the leaders now, like you said, Stephen, they're talking 2 more stops, from right now, which they haven't made one of those, and trying to stretch that fuel a little bit out. Some of these guys who committed to this, this early pit strategy and pitting early, they're going to have to make at least 1 more stop, I'm sure. So, if this thing does stay green, some of those guys who are pitting early may be on the short end of the stick, so to speak, on that pit strategy.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing at this point. You want to maximize that fuel as much as possible, and it makes you wonder, are these guys starting to calculate that, or are they, just pitting whenever their tires get worn? So hopefully they are looking at that and making adjustments as they go through the run.
One of the things we haven't touched on for a little bit, I'm going to kind of go back to it here, though, Stephen, is, talking about our points battle. Right now,
I was thinking the same thing.
Brian Lee is currently showing in the 7th position, which he's been running that top 10, having himself a good run all night, doing what he has to do, to try to get back up into position. But to look a little further behind him in 14th position, Ben Britton has been able to work himself now up into the top 15. So, he's starting to regain some of those points that he'd lost early part of the race. So, a definite run for Britton as he's starting to make those changes during his pit stops and such, and get himself back up a little closer to the front now, as I'm showing him as the last car currently on the lead lap with the leaders right behind him. But 14th to 7th, he's not giving up nowhere near the amount of points he was, back in 25th, so to speak.
No, and right now, earlier when we did the points update, Brian Lee was about 8 points away, about -8 points. So right now, as they're looking, you have Brian Lee, who is only three points away. So he's making up time on the track, and definitely he's getting some of those points back.
Yeah, and that just kind of goes back to the testament, just what you had said earlier during the race. Ben's one of those guys who'll continuously, quietly work on that car, get it better throughout the night, and at the end of the night will be, there in that top 5, top 10 position, and being steady. I mean, he's not always up front, but he's definitely, one of those guys who he knows how to be patient and work this car throughout the night. As currently, he's moved up into a couple of cars peeling off now into the 12th place position. So definitely maximizing what he can out of what could have been a very bad night for him so far here tonight.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for from Brian Lee at this point. I mean, just do what you can to keep that point separation. And right now you have Ben Braden, who made up a couple of positions, but that's basically just because we're getting these guys starting to peel off on the pit road. So he's making up a little bit of position based on that right now, whereas Brian Lee, he's up in the 8th position as actually Christian, it looks like, just made his way around him.
Yeah, one of the things kind of go back and allude to also, I'm kind of watching now after we had that update from Jacob there on the number 20 of Duvon Cherry. He was one of those guys pitted a little bit earlier than what the leaders did, but he's still out there on the track right now. A lot of these guys are making pit stops. Looks like he's definitely trying to do what he can to conserve fuel to get back on the pit strategy along with the leaders, to make this into a two-stop race here. As he should be back underneath it right now, but he is currently showing in the 9th place position, so he's trying to work some of this fuel strategy as best he can for track position right now, and doing a pretty good job of it, actually.
Yeah, we were speaking about Nick Thames. Timms, he actually made his way back into pit road, so he's being posted 1 lap down and in the 15th position right now as he comes out of pit road. So he's making his pit stop on lap 98, so that means that those guys in the lead the rest of these guys should be coming in about 3 or 4 laps.
I find it interesting too, Stephen, kind of looking down here at our tractor and such, as they run on track right now, I know the top 3 still got to make pit stops, but if it's in, the pace that they're moving at right now, we have, as we speak right now, 10 cars on the lead lap, and that would be it. But it's going to be interesting to see if this thing does stay green with the pace all these guys are putting down right now. They're having, a really quick pace out here. How many cars will be left on the lead lap at the end? As like I said, we only have even Ben Britton showing a lap down right now in the 12th place position. A lot of these, we only have 10 on the lead lap, but I know we'll put a few more back on as the leaders hit their pit road. But it's going to be interesting to see there towards the end tonight how many are left on the lead lap.
Yeah, and that's what right now, you're going through these pit stops, and this is one time you don't want to see a caution come out, because that's could trap, basically from 11th position back on a 1 lap down. So you want these pit cycles to go ahead and go through their cycle, let the leaders come down, and once that happens, then that's when these guys are going to look forward to that caution if they can get one and be so lucky to have it come out. Get the field bunch back up, because right now you got these guys who are working on the cars constantly. So we've made 2 pit stops now under green flag. They would definitely like to see a caution come out later on and see what they do have now for these lead lap cars. So it can be treacherous if the caution comes out right now, and it can be a good thing if it comes out a little bit later for them.
Yeah, just kind of go for a note. We were talking about the points battle there a little bit earlier. Just kind of note too, Brian Lee nor our number 1 leader right now, Ben Britton, have led a lap tonight. So neither of those have been able to capitalize on a bonus point. So that's kind of one of those things to look at too, and kind of keep a track of. As we've noted several times throughout the year, we've seen point chases come down to the last race, and only 4 points separating the top three, so those bonus points could mean a lot if either of these is able to actually, kind of stay out there maybe at some point and lead a lap. But I think they're both, pretty much at the point right now that it's going to be very hard for either one of them to lead a lap if the thing continues to stay green like it is. As I'm sure probably the only one I can think of right now, probably praying for a caution, would be that third place machine of Chris Belton or the fourth place machine of Dale Reynolds, as they would be able to make up a lot of times on where the leaders are at. But yet at the same time, the leaders are not looking for a caution from here on out at this point. But a lot of these, like I say, Chris Melton, he's starting to, he's had himself a good run all night, but I kind of noticed him right there behind him. Dale Reynolds is starting to pick up, a little bit here, a little bit there on him, and is big closing on him throughout this entire fuel run. But he's currently got himself back up. He's whittled down about 2 seconds difference between himself. But Dale Reynolds now and Chris Melton both head down pit road at third and fourth place machine. Looks like they're pitting a little bit ahead of the leaders this time, and as Bussa and Bando are still out there on the track. So third and fourth place machines now currently on pit road, as well as several others. But Vasquez in that number 8 machine has also decided to stay out there. He's currently moved himself up into the third place, but a lot of ground to make up. But Vasquez looks like he's going to try to stretch fuel mileage a little bit here too as he moves himself into third position.
Yeah, and you talked about Chris Melton and the 27 of Dale Reynolds coming down pit road. I think that's a smart move by the 27 to go ahead and follow the 78 down pit road, because that's who he's fighting for position right now, and he needs to keep that guy in his sight. Well, coming down pit road with him, what better way to come off with him and try to make up that track position with him, and maybe even work as a team and try to in this next pit stop, since our leaders haven't pit, and try to stick together, use the draft to the best of their abilities, and maybe even pull a couple more seconds on these guys. Because drafting does make a difference.
Yeah, drafting does make a difference here. I mean, even though it's not a, per se, plate track or a drafting track, it's definitely a place as Reynolds gets back out. Him and Melton also. Melton put some distance on Dale Reynolds right there during that pit stop. So there's 2 cars between the 2 of them right now as Melton comes out in the 8th position. Nick Timms comes out in 9th after all cycles through, and Dale Reynolds drops back to 10th. So, Dale looks like he may have lost some position, some time, on pit road to Chris Melton, as Chris was able to get out in and out pretty smoothly there. So, but kind of going back to one thing quick.
Dale, excuse me, I just want to say that Dale came out, right behind him. But if you look when they did come out, when the 78 came out, 2 lap cars got between him and Chris or Dale. So that put a little bit of a trouble on Dell, because now he's got 1 lap car, and I believe Nick Thames, that put a little bit of stress on Dell. He had to get around 1 lap car, and then now he's still having to chase down Nick, who's got good tires. Also, the 78 made it out on time, or ahead of Nick, Nick pitted early, so right now the 78 should be able to start pulling on the 51, as also Dale Reynolds should be able to go ahead and catch up to the 51 and pass him as well.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to here, Stephen, one of the guys we really haven't spoke a lot tonight, has been very quiet, but is finding himself on the pit strategy with the leaders right now and running very well, is that number 23 of Frankie Stamato is out here. The leaders are getting ready to come down pit road, but Frankie has been able to stay out there, stay kind of on the same pit strategy and fuel strategy as our leaders, and currently finds himself running in 3rd position out there in real good position. So Frankie's having himself a good night here tonight too, and if he stays on this, this thing stays green and stays on this cycle like this, may be the guy that we didn't see, that where did he come from, so to speak, at the end of the race.
Absolutely, and right before the pit stop started, I had noticed that he started making his way up there into the front. I believe he was right behind Dale Reynolds at one point. So, the 23 of Frankie Stamato, he is a late race driver. He's definitely very methodical in his driving and the way he pits. So I think he's going to try to maximize everything he can. And to see him not actually pit with the leaders is a little surprising. I guess he's going to try to get a lap led, but it's going to be very difficult at this point, since the leaders are pretty much done with their pit stop.
Yeah, that was a surprise to see him not pit there, but one of the guys we heard Jacob talk about a little bit earlier, Jovan Cherry, trying to stay out there, get on the pit sequence, with the leaders. He's coming down pit road making his pit stop right now, so he was in the 4th place position, so, he's definitely trying to stay on that same pit strategy as the leaders was able to stretch his fuel out a little bit right there, conserve some fuel to get on the same strategy as him, and, like I said, it's going to come down at the end of the night. If this thing stays green like this, a lot of these calls, like Jovan in that number 20 machine, trying to stay out there and conserve fuel and get back on the strategy with the leaders, it's definitely going to be something that pans out for those guys. And some of the guys who've been short pitting may find themselves, as we talked about a little bit earlier, on the short end of the stick, so to speak.
Yeah, you're definitely right, as Frankie Samanto makes his way down pit road now, but at that point, the leader, or Louis Bussa and Ben Bendel, were just nipping at his heels. So I think he should have came down with those guys and went ahead and maximized all that the tires as he could. Because right now, I think it's only going to hurt him with those guys on fresh tires, and they were pulling away from most of the field anyways at this point.
Yeah, and kind of looking at Jovan Cherry, like we talked about there a little bit, he finds himself now after pit strategies and pit cycles are all over with. He only dropped back to 16th position, so he's definitely kept his car out of trouble, still showing himself in a good position, and a lot of these guys are really pitting this time much what he will be. So, he stays on as we see Kevin Kelly coming down pit road right now, too. So that'll move Jovan Cherry up into 15th, so definitely a good call right there. Save fuel, conserve it as much as he could during that last run, get back on the leader's pit strategy. So definitely good call on that on the pit crew and the crew chief on that number 20 tonight. And a lot of these guys are starting to see some more guys starting to come down pit road right now. Seeing looks like Steve Deo in that number 41 machine. He's coming down pit road as well. As we talked about, Kevin Kelly was just there. He's leading his pit stall now. So a lot of these guys are, there's a lot of different pit strategies and fuel strategies playing out right now. And,
lots of different strategies. It's amazing how everybody has their own strategies at this point. I mean, we're seeing probably a 10 laps in between pit stops, which is, in my book, is odd. I mean, but because we have gone 2 pit cycles into a green flag run, people have been committed after that first pit stop, because now they've set the precedence of how much fuel they got left, whereas our leaders, they've maximized all fuel that's possible. And as we were talking about Brian Lee and Ben Britton before we went to pit stop, Brian Lee's actually made up those points back on Ben Britton. He's now 1 point ahead of Ben. So the pit stops are well, right now what's hurting Ben is he's the lucky dog in 17th position 1 lap down. He needs to have a caution come out so he can get back on the lead lap and on the cycle with Brian Lee, because at this point there's nobody else he can make time on until those leaders pass some new guys to make them a lap down. So right now, Ben Britton's kind of in a holding pattern.
Yeah, I was kind of noticing. I was looking right there as you were talking about that. Looking back here where Britton's at, right there in front of him is Nick Timms, Dale Reynolds, and Chris Melton. So those guys are starting to they looking to put themselves together in a little fight here before too much longer. As Reynolds is able to get around Nick Timms now. And looks like right in front of Chris Melton, a lot of smoke. Looks like we got some troubles with the Travis McKinney's car. I'm not sure if cautions will come out. He's down on the apron there, but something happened with McKinney. But Reynolds now finds himself right behind Chris Melton. Has been able to get around those cars as Nick Timms now is relegated back to 5th. So those guys are all right there together with Ben Britton tapped in with them. So, they got a good little fight going on right there in front of Ben Britton. But I'm not really sure. Kind of look at, if you get a chance there, Steve, and look at what happened with McKinney. I don't know. There was a lot of smoke as they came up into that corner there, and looks like he was able to get down on the inside of the apron, the access area, but no caution out. We were able to stay green on that, but unfortunate break. Looks like it's been a rough night so far for that number 42. So, unfortunate chain of events happened there for him tonight. But, you kind of talk about that. There's a lot of guys. I'm looking at through the pack here, with all these pit strategies going on and differences. A lot of these guys, of course, the top 2 pretty much stayed about the same throughout the night. But Kevin has also, that 26 machine, been able to move himself back into 6 through all these pit strategies. But let's kind of take a look, see if we can figure out what happened there with that sim.
Yeah, he just comes down into turn 1, and it looks like he got loose and turned it around and basically rode the wall backwards all the way through 1 and 2, which probably tore up the car a little bit, got a flat tire out of it, but was able to get clear of the track, which was able to keep the race green. It's pretty much unfortunate for Ben Breton, because at that time, that's what he was looking for. He needs that lap down, or that caution to come out, because at this point, Ben Breton just lost the lucky dog position to Chuck Garcia. So now he's got to chase down Chuck to get those points, or to get into the lucky dog position. And you still got the 42 who was making his way down to pit road.
Yeah, that's unfortunate tonight for I can't remember. It's been a while back, and I'm thinking McKinney had that same issue earlier. In the race, heating up that right rear possibly, and getting that car loose and wanting to snap around on him like that. So
yeah, it was on a restart, and that's where he had a lot of his trouble. What's odd though is, we spoke about him a couple weeks ago. He had a little bit of a trouble a couple weeks ago. He hit the apron twice in one race. Was able to save it one time, and then the second time he was unable to save it. So he has been pitting early with these guys, or earlier than most of our leaders. So what you got to understand is, and I spoke about it a little bit earlier also, about how he comes out a little bit ahead of leaders sometimes. And with those fresh tires, he's going to try to basically make as much time as possible. So there's a good chance that he heated up that right rear and just got in that turn, and the tire let go of all grip and just let him turn around.
Yeah, and as we're talking here, Steve, you can kick over there to Dale Reynolds. Just made a quick move on Chris Melton there to take away that third position going into 1. He shot down just like we talked about. He followed him all the way up that back, the front stretch there, and going down into 1, he jams it down in low and goes right underneath Melton to take over that number 3 position. So Dale Reynolds now finds himself moving up into 3rd place, relegating Chris Melton back to 4th. So and then you got Nick Timms right there, just a little bit off from, in that 5th position, ready to pounce at any time too. So, a lot of good racing going back here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as most everything remains, unchanged up front. Lewis Buster still leading the way with Ben Bando running 2nd right now. Hardly any distance between the two of them, as they've got definite good strategy going on here. But tell you what, let's take a quick commercial break, get some word in from our sponsors here, and we'll be back to Green Flag Racing here, at Indianapolis Motor Speedway here for tonight's presentation of the Gaming Informer 400. Stay tuned, we'll be back.
Are you looking to start your own professional internet radio station the easy way? Sam Vibe was specifically designed for you. From the makers of Sam Broadcaster, Sam Vibe takes advantage of the cloud to let you focus on what is important, managing and running your station. There are 5 simple steps to get started with Sam Vibe. 1. Sign up for a free account at SamVibe.com. No credit card information is required to get a free account. 2. Download and install Sam Vibe. 3. Check your email to retrieve your account information and login details. 4. Run Sam Vibe and enter your username and password. 5. The Sam Vibe Quick Start Wizard shows you the first steps to start your station. Simply upload your music, turn on your station, and tune in. Too easy? Don't worry, Sam Vibe caters for the needs of both novice and professional broadcasters. Sound exciting? Give it a try. Sign up for free now at SamVibe.com to experience how broadcasting should be.
And welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway here in Indianapolis, Indiana for tonight's presentation of the Game Informer 400. Had a lot of green flag racing out here tonight, so a lot of these guys I'm sure are enjoying this and making all that they can out of it. But up front right now we still got Lewis Buster on that number 3 machine leading the way with Ben Bando following closely in second place. But kind of throw a couple of things going on out here. Let's talk about tonight's sponsor. Game Informer. I'm sure if any of you are gamers, and watching here tonight, you know what Game Informer is. These guys publish that Game Informer magazine, which is one of the best magazines out there. They're the world's #1 computer and video game resource altogether. Being the source for the latest in video game news, reviews, and previews. And definitely want to say a very special thank you to Game Informer for coming on board with us here tonight, sponsoring tonight's running here at Indianapolis, Indiana. Like we've said several times, if not for our sponsors who kind of help us cover the bills over here, we wouldn't be able to give you this great action live green flags racing here like we have been able to. And now some of you may kind of ask yourselves, you see us out here week in, week out, kind of broadcasting these races and stuff, and kind of want to know how you get yourself involved in something like this, and Steve, I'll tell you what, if you want to cover that question, how would someone, if you say they wanted to join NuffWORLD, come over here and hang out and race with us and finish filling this field out, so to speak, how would you go about doing something like that?
Actually, it's going to be pretty simple. You just head on over to NuffWORLD.com, get registered on the website, and then hit up our forums, and you basically will look at the list of what numbers are available that you can pick from. You choose a number, we'll confirm it for you. Obviously, if you don't have the game, you'll go to thesimfactory.com, pick up the copy of the video game. At that point, then you'll basically at that point, I think it'd be best if you just get with one of the people in the league, and everybody's so willing to help. At that point, you can contact us on the forums. We're on Facebook. You can even go on the website. There's a help me button up there. You'll download all the tracks, and at that point, you're ready to race. You just meet up on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. We have our Pure Sim series, which is a fixed series, so if you're new to the game, that's a perfect series for you to just jump right in. You don't have to worry about setups, anything like that. But if you are an enthusiast and know your way around sim racing, just you can race in that Thursday race, or you can come over on Saturday, which is an open fixed setup. It is 100% races on Saturday. So it's pretty simple. Just go to NuffWORLD.com, get registered, hit us up on the forums with a number, and we'll get you set up basically from there on.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple process, and just like you said, Steve, there's a lot of knowledgeable guys out here on the games and also on the tech side of the house too. I mean, we have a lot of guys out here who have any kind of troubles, getting set up or whatsoever. You can hit us up on TeamSpeak. There's almost always somebody over hanging out in our TeamSpeak server who can definitely get you hooked up. If there's no one on there at the time, you can always hit the forums, just like you said, request some help, man. Somebody will get on and give you a hand. I know there's a lot of us spend a lot of time, getting some of these racers set up, whether you got some access, some knowledge of computers, or, even in the case of some we've helped out, throughout the years, no knowledge whatsoever of computers, we can get you set up, that's for sure. But we'll get back here to, like I say, back up front here, kind of looking, we still got our race leader right now, Lewis Buster, still leading the way, with Ben Bando right there in behind. And looking right in front of him, you got, we spoke about him a little while earlier. He's been trying to save field throughout the night, got back on the same pit strategy as the leaders, but Jovan Cherry now in danger, of going a lap down. He's the last car we have on a lead lap right now, running in the 12th place position. So, Jovan stayed out there and maximized that fuel last time, tried to get the most out of that car that he possibly could to put himself on the right pit strategy, but in danger now of going a lap down, running in 12th position. So he's still working his way forward throughout the night, though, and pit strategy is going to do nothing but help him as this race plays on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at this, and at this point, if Jovan Cherry does get lapped, there will be 11 cars still left on the lead lap. But just right quick, too, so I want to go back to Game Informer. Game Informers actually put up for the top 3 finishers, they're going to give our top 3 finishers a subscription for 1 year to their magazine, so definitely a great incentive to finish in that top 3 right now. I am a subscriber of the magazine as well, so I definitely a good thing for our top 3 finishers, and we thank Game Informer for doing that.
That's a great incentive right there too. Top 3, getting that subscription there. But I was kind of looking there as we were coming around. You were talking there, Steven. Looks like Louis Bussa got a little tail happy there coming off of turn 3 there a little bit earlier. So I don't know, maybe something's happening with that car or such. But looks like he is having a fit right now. They're trying to get around Jovan Cherry at number 20. The leaders have now run into a big pack of cars right there, and they're going 3 wide to try to make this thing happen. As cars are coming out of pits too.
Out of pit road. I mean, cars are everywhere at this point. So, they're just trying to make their way safe and sound through these lap down cars or cars that are still on the lead lap, trying to fight for that lap down. So they're managing to do very well at this point, as they got 3 of them knocked out and 2 more to go.
Yeah, I was kind of noticing there too, as all this went on, Jovan Cherry played the smart move right there, kind of drove out of his rear view mirror there, wherever the leaders were going to go, that's where he went. And, he's able to move himself right up on the back bumper now, the 10th place position, Darren Binge, as the leaders are now getting around him. But if he tucks in with those guys and is able to stay with them here for a little bit, he can move himself up into 10th as he's fighting now for that lucky dog position.
Yeah, and at that point, it is smart. Just tuck in with those guys and make as much track position as you can. As Lewis got into the back of the 15 car and got him a little tail happy. I think he said, "Hell, I'm here. I'm ready to go around." So the 20 car goes ahead and follows in suit. That's going to help him out, keep him on the lucky dog position. Right now, this is going to help out Ben Britton. I take that back. He's actually showing 2 laps down, so he may have hit pit road a little bit early as well.
Yeah, and as the leaders clear all that lap traffic now, Cherry in that number 20 machine was able to, like you said, tuck right in behind those leaders and get around Darren Binge, take away that top 10 position. So Jovan now finds himself in the 10th place with a good top 10, and Charles Payne is able to follow along through, catch up on that draft too, and put himself around Darren Binge. So, that puts a little distance between Jovan Cherry and Darren Binge now. So that's going to kind of solidify that lucky dog position right now for Jovan Cherry if a caution were to come out. But, Jovan looks like he's able to keep pace right now with that first and second place machine. If he's able to tuck in, stay with that draft, and continue on like this, he'll continue moving through the field as they continue to lap cars as this goes on.
Yeah, this is a track that we have. It is a track that's known for long green flag runs just because of how big it is. I mean, this place is huge, so you're not really racing a whole lot of people at one time. You're just racing them in pack, So these guys are good chances they're going to go green from here on out. It doesn't look like anybody is under the stress of having to stop one more time after this next stop. And in fact, a couple of guys have already made their ways down pit road, Garcia, Todd Layton, and a couple other guys. So they're making their last pit stops of the race.
Yeah, we're coming up on 30 laps to go here. I was just confirming with the guys upstairs there with Lacey, but our last caution was on lap 28, so we're coming up here to take 100 laps of green flag racing. So, a lot of these guys will probably start to think, holy cow, it'd be great to have this over with or have a caution so they get that little break. But, 100 laps out here at Indianapolis, that's a grueling little run here.
That is a grueling run, just because, as we talked earlier, the 4 turns are identical, and you have to hit every one of these exactly, or else you could have a problem where you push up, because that's what happens late in the run. You're going to start pushing up towards the wall, so it does get difficult. You have to slow down your corners a little bit more, especially in 1 and 3. So it's going to be a grueling race if they continue on the way it is right now. If a caution was to come out, your lucky dog is Jovan Cherry. Problem is now we've already got the second this last cycle going in, so that means the guys that were lap down are now 2 laps down. So a caution isn't going to help them get on the lead lap and make up any more positions on the leader. However, now that they have pitted, they can get that 1 lap back, and cautions breed caution. So right now is the time that everybody needs a caution except for the leaders.
Yeah, you know, that's the last thing that these guys are looking for is the caution to come out. They want this to stay green the rest of the way as they're moving up now, closing in on some more lap traffic. So, you know, these guys are a little more spread out in the lap traffic that they're kind of coming through right now versus what they were. But I'm kind of looking right there in front of our leaders right now in 14th position. One of the guys we've spoke about a very little bit about, but Kevin Kelly has put together a solid run based on what he was running early part of this race. Currently running right now in 14th position, and he's the last guy, one lap down, so he's definitely looking to make some headway tonight. And I think Kelly just came out of the pits, matter of fact.
Yeah, we actually go back to one more position. Dale Reynolds is now starting to pace out the likes of Chris Melton. He's now 1 second ahead of Melton, so he did get around him and is pacing him. Then you have Chris Melton, who has actually made pace on Nick Thames. Nick Thames has lost 10 seconds to these guys, so he's fallen. And I believe he's still got one more stop. He stopped last on lap 98, so basically everybody who's on the lead lap I think it's everybody through 13th position has not pitted yet, so the rest of these guys will be pitting here soon as the 30 car of Kevin Kelly goes back down the lap.
Right, and a lot of these guys, like I say, it's come down to a fuel strategy race tonight, but a lot of these guys, one of the guys I want to look at right real quick is back here in 18th position, that number 24 car of Chuck Garcia. He's been all night long. He's been fighting away with that car. Looks like he may have missed the setup on this thing tonight and is not having the run he was looking towards having. But has been fighting and clawing with it all night. Trying to get the very best he possibly can out of it tonight. But currently finds himself right now in the 18th position. So. Not the night Chuck Garcia was looking for in that number 24 machine.
No, not at all. And our fifth place driver of Nick Thames is actually making his way in now. He's getting 4 tires and looking to get back out there. He last pitted on lap 98, so right now he's sitting on 132. He will be able to make it to the end, as well as the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking too, Steve. Back here in 19th position, at number 32 of Justin Barton. He's one of the guys we've talked about showing fast improvement over here in NuffWorld, based off of, what we saw of him in his rookie season last year. He's been putting together a lot of real good runs here so far this year, staying pretty clean, staying under the radar, so to speak, doing the right things and putting together a lot of good runs. He's currently third in our VSU Cup Series Championship battle right now, but he's definitely not having the run you were expecting. We've come to expect, so to speak, out of Justin tonight. It looks like he's another one of those guys that may have missed the setup quite a bit tonight, or possibly I haven't really seen a lot of him tonight, unfortunately, but he may be on that pit strategy to where he's in a bad predicament right now himself. But Justin is, like I said, definitely not getting the what he is accustomed to, so to speak, out of that car tonight. And looks like he's been fighting a bit of a tight race car over the last little bit that I've been watching here. So Justin, unfortunately, running back in 19th, he may possibly, lose a position here tonight. Well, probably not lose a position. He's got about a 30-point lead over, fourth place Danny Gutierrez coming into tonight's race, but he's definitely going to lose some points on our second place Brian Lee, who's about 60 points ahead of him coming into tonight. But looks like if all runs the way it is right now, Barton will lose good bit of that tonight on Brian Lee.
Yeah, and we make our way back up to the 34 of Ben Britton. He is currently running in the 17th position. He's actually made his way around Chuck Garcia, so with those other cars going a lap down, he is able to capitalize on putting them a lap down. However, because we have had so many green runs and he's already a lap down before a lot of these guys, he's having to catch them now. So it's going to be a difficult run for him to keep moving forward, just based on how far and how stretched out this field is.
Yeah, and with Ben, with Britton having that the run he's having tonight, definitely not indicative of what we're used to seeing out of Britton, and Lee he's doing exactly what he's got to do tonight to make up points. He's currently running in the 10th place position. By my best calculations, that's going to bring them down to about a 1-point gap if they were to finish right now between first and second. So points battle definitely starting to tighten up here with about 6 races to go or so, before that championship chase starts. So it's definitely those two, Ryan Lee making the most he possibly can out tonight, try to make those points up that he lost last week, and Ben Britton trying to do all he can to hang on to that points lead with the car he's got tonight. But, some of these guys kind of go back around here, and looking at some of these guys we're used to seeing up here, not having the night we are used to, So we got quite a few guys heading down pit road right now as Reynolds, looks like 78 of Melton, Vasquez also all hitting pit road, and looks like Dale Reynolds was able to get on and off pit road a lot better than Melton was this time. It opens up that gap a little bit more. But they're all coming off of pit road right now, and looks like Reynolds may have put probably about 2 to 3 seconds possibly on the 78 of Chris Melton right there. So definitely good pit stop, good timing there on Dale Reynolds. And I think just like you talked about earlier, Stephen, with when Melton hit pit road earlier, Dale Reynolds, just kind of followed suit and followed him in to try to make up, stay with him, keep him in sight. I think Chris Melton may have been trying that same strategy here as soon as Dale Reynolds motioned towards pit. Melton followed him right down there and got in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem right now is everybody's a lap down except 32 cars, the 3 and the 33. But what has interested me so much at this point is Frankie Samanto. Frankie Samanto's in the 5th position. Now we are talking that, Dale Reynolds and Melton and Buchanan and Nick Dames all pitted. However, he's in the 7th position right now. So he was, he's in the 4th position, but before all this started playing out, he was in the 7th position. He was fighting for the lucky dog with Jovan Cherry, and as we were watching them fight, the 20 car actually got into the wall a little bit, so he's probably got a little bit of right-sided damage right now, and the 23 car is just going to try to catch him and get that lucky dog position at this point. But they all, as the cycle rolls through, we should have still 12 cars now on the lead lap once the leaders pit.
Yeah, but one of the things, I'm kind of sitting here watching you alluded to it there a little bit with Jovan Cherry, even though he, in that 20 machine, even though he did get up there into the wall, I know we reported earlier, Jacob Popolowski did there, that, Jovan was going to try to save fuel, get on the same strategy as the leaders, on that pit strategy. And he has worked that thing to perfection, so to speak, after getting into that lucky dog position, falling in behind the leaders and following through there for the longest time. He finds himself up there running in 3rd position right now, so he has worked that fuel strategy to perfection, so to speak, on what he had tried to do there earlier during the race, as Jacob reported on.
Yeah, he's definitely playing a smart race right now, and that is a great way to do it is fuel strategy, especially on these green flag runs when you got people short pitting. I'm not a fan of short pitting. I think it hurts you in the long run, just because you're not maximizing everything that you have out on the track, and especially whenever there's green flag runs like it does, that puts you laps down that you don't need to be lapped down at any point in the race, but it's going to put you in a moral predicament. So at this point, the 33 and 3 are Louis Bussa and Ben Bando are leaders, and they've got the whole field lap to show of maximizing that potential of fuel. But they are making their way down pit road right now, as you can see on the left side of your screen.
Yeah, it looks like Louis Bussa there locked the brakes up quite a bit, and about split it down on the pit road. So he was having a little bit of trouble getting down on the pit road as we talked about there, but looks like we talked about, that number 20 of Jovan Cherry, exact strategy, follow the leader, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Comes down on the pit road, going to take his, what should be his final pit stop here with only 20 laps to go, so we shouldn't see very few, well, we definitely won't see that lead pack any more pit stops, I don't think, tonight, so this should be the final pit stop of the night for these guys, so we'll see how things shake up now here as after everything's said and done. I think Lewis and the 3 and the 33 will definitely maintain first and second, as they had, pretty much a lap lead on the rest of the field. So
there's no doubt. And every time we come down in the pit road, exactly the same thing happens. 3's leading, coming in, 3's leading, or lagging behind the 33 coming out. The 33's pit stops tonight have been phenomenal. He has been nailing them non-stop.
Yeah, now with the leaders pitting, we talked about it a little bit earlier, that puts us with, now it looks like 10 cars. The top 10 are now back onto the lead lap. Although, several of them are not that far in front of the leaders.
No, they're not.
That gives us 10 cars now back on the lead lap. And after all that cycles through, that puts Jovan Cherry at number 20, who's trying to keep pace with the leaders right now. That puts him back here in the 12th place position. But he's going to have the freshest tires of that whole group back there. So he should be able to make up quite a few more positions as he moves around Todd Layton now to... it wouldn't surprise me a bit to see Jovan Cherry back up pretty close to a top 5 position time this is all over with tonight.
Yeah, the good thing about what Jovan is doing is he's following his leaders. And with that being the case, he's not too far behind them. That means every person they put a lap down, he's going to eventually catch. So that'll get him one more position. This is the position that Ben Britton needed to be in. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that, and Jovan was. So that's great work on pit strategy with the 20 car Jovan Cherry with.
All right, and like you said, as we were talking there, Stephen, that's number 78 at Chris Melton has been able to get around Frankie Samato now, took away that 4th place position, so relegates Frankie Samato back to 5th. So that moves Chris Melton one place up further as Frankie Samato is now coming down pit road. He'll be by my calculations, he's going to be the last guy to pit, on this cycle. So he's definitely been staying out there a lot longer. But tell you what, let's take a quick commercial break here, and then get our sponsors thanks here real quick. And then we'll get back to finish this thing out here with about 17 laps to go right after these quick commercial breaks from here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Game Informer 400. And welcome back live here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and tonight's running of the Game Informer 400 presented by NuffWORLD TV. A lot of green flag racing going on out here tonight. We've been green for, close to 120 laps tonight. So, but the story of the night has just been Lewis Bussa and Ben Bando, who have just been the class of the field all night long. These guys have just kind of ran away with things, and right now have biggest most of the field lapped down. But these guys have been blistering pace all night, Stephen.
Yeah, it's a wonder how they were able to do something like this. I mean, right now we only have 8 cars on the lead lap, but it just shows you and these guys are coming out of the same stable, so they're working with the same setups, and they're both great drivers, and they're able to just come out here and basically put a whooping on the rest of the field at this point. I mean, they've led most of the laps together. The thing is caution flag tonight has hurt the rest of the field. I mean, I know everybody wants to see a green race and stuff like that, but every once in a while, these guys, they want the cautions to come out at a point where, you know, they need to get back on their lap. And at this point, basically everybody's good on field from here to go. So if a pit stop or a caution does come out now, you're going to have everybody basically stay out. I think you're going to see probably 20 cars taking a wave around.
You know, I'm kind of thinking here, though, just before we went to caution break there, you know, that Frankie Samato was just pitting just before we went to caution break. He now finds himself in 12th position, one lap down. I kind of wondered myself, though, Steven, maybe did Frankie just wait too long to make that last pit stop right there to possibly be able to maximize on the new tires?
Absolutely. I think at some point in time that if you're doing well to stay up with the leaders, I think you need, and especially in this point where you have drivers like Lewis Luss and Ben Bama who are pulling away from the field, you know, 5 seconds after putting tires on. So I think you have to, if you're going to be pitting, you've got to either pit with the leaders or a little bit before the leaders. And I don't mean 10 laps before the leaders. I mean a lap or two before the leaders. Pitting behind them always seems to hurt any driver that's out there because they're so slow as it is. But then you have, and I don't mean that as the driver's slow. It's just the car. It's worn out. The tires are gone. It's slowed down from what they do normally have with 4 brand new tires. And then you have the leaders who are fast already and fresh tires. Oh, it makes a big difference. I think at that point you need to pit with the leaders or just slightly before them.
Yeah, I'm kind of watching the battle kind of shaping up here a little bit, Steven, as you were talking. Up here for the 5th place position. Right now it's being held by Kevin Buchanan, that top 5. But I'll tell you what, Nick Timms, that number 51, is really starting to put a charge on him, trying to take that position away. He keeps drafting, keeps peeking out a little bit right there, you know, during the backstretch, like he wants to make it, but he just doesn't have quite the run, you know, getting in there. But Nick is definitely chomping, trying to get away at that, get into that top 5 position right there. As he looks to the inside now, looks like he's going to try to make the move, but isn't able to do so as McKennan's able to slam the door, getting down into the corner there. But Nick Timms is definitely trying to take that number 5 position away from Kevin Buchanan right now. As you see, Buchanan is moving around on the track quite a bit to try to break that draft.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do, break that draft. But you always see that snake. It's just like Pocono. I mean, at Pocono coming out of turn 3, you'll see that snake go to the inside wall, and everybody follows suit because you have to stay in his draft to maximize everything you can. Now, if there was a car in front of Kevin Buchanan and he did something like that, it would behoove the 51 to stay there because he would catch the other guy's draft and Kevin Buchanan would lose it. So at this point, he's just trying to stay with his draft, and he's doing a great job at it. And eventually he's going to get to that quarter panel and have to make a decision of trying to get to the inside, or you know, just try to get as close as he can and break that aerodynamics of that car and get him a little bit loose.
Exactly, and after McKenna was able to break that that draft right there, he's been able to pull away just a little bit from Nick Timms, kind of get the heat off of him. But Nick is once again starting to really be able, once again, try to put that heat and that pressure back on him as they're starting to catch Gutierrez and Payne in front of him. So this one may play out just like you said. You know, McKenna tries to go, you know, to the outside or something. Nick Timms may jump to that inside, take that draft from the other cars, and use it to kind of get away, kind of get around Buchanan right there. But right now, Buchanan's been able to pull away just a little bit as, you know, they go down in the corner here. Looks like Buchanan's going to pick up Gutierrez's draft for just a little bit. But Nick Timms definitely made up some ground on him right there in that corner.
Oh, yeah, and the lap down cars are playing such a role in this. I mean, look at how much he closed in that time frame. Now he's on his bumper, and he's got a choice. Do I go to the inside and break this draft or not? And the chances are he's going to try to outbreak him going into this turn.
And looks like he's going to do so successfully. They're side by side coming off the corner. Let's give the position to Nick Timms at this point. But, battling back hard on that outside. Kevin McKinnon is. But, it's going to be a drag race here as McKinnon looking to the inside.
Absolutely. He put the slide job on him, and he had to. At that point, you have to get in front of him and coming out of the second turn. Otherwise, you're going to have Kevin Buchanan in the draft with the guys behind him. And Nick Thames wouldn't be in a draft. He'd be on the inside lane, losing a lot of time with that without a drafting help.
Yeah, nice setup and maneuver right there by Nick Timms. I mean, textbook perfect for that matter. Is Timms now moves down the inside, trying to break that draft himself with McKinnon. As McKinnon's going to try to, I almost guarantee, try to pull the same exact maneuver. But looks like Timms is able to get down in the corner a lot better than what McKinnon is right now.
Yeah, I think Kevin was actually going to go and try to go to the outside and just kind of catch a little speed out of it. But then Nick stayed up there a little bit longer, and he closed the gap really quickly. So I think he had to get on the brakes a little bit, and that's caused him to lose that distance. So Kevin's going to have to just set him back up again and try to do it as much as possible and do the same thing that Nick did to him as Nick gets in the wall off of turn 3.
Yeah, it looks like Nick got in the wall, but Kevin got quite loose there himself. So both of these guys, aptly so, 7 laps to go here in the race, they are pushing these cars now and trying to fight for every inch of real estate they can possibly get out there on the track. As McKinnon, he's definitely not going to be happy relegated back to 6th position right now, and he's definitely going to be trying to get that 5th place back as he closes it right down in that white line down in turn 1 right there and pulls right up behind things again, and they're side by side once again. These guys are having a heck of a battle out here, but looks like that outside McKinnon just can't get through the corner good enough right there in the center, to come off and carry that speed down that back stretch. If he could do that and get one good corner right there on the high side, I think he'd be able to get around Tim. But these guys, like I say, having a good battle back here for that top 5 position. So these guys definitely working it out, and Lewis Buster and Ben Bando just continue to pull it away. Bendo is now making a move on Lewis Buster for the lead, trying to move to his inside here.
Yeah, and Bando's got to make the choice. He's got 6 laps to go ahead and close that rate on the 3 car, which is surprising that he wasn't able to do something there, considering that, Lewis has no help out in front of him. And he got to the inside, but it looked like he's listed a little bit concerned that he was going to wash up, so he's going to have to set him up again and basically do the pass that the 51 did on Kevin Buchanan.
Yeah, my question is, too, thinking about it, too, Stephen, like we said, we're down to 5 laps to go now. Is it still too early to make that pass right now?
I don't think so. As on the left side, we still got Kevin Buchanan and the 51 battling out. Kevin got to the inside of the 51. Good thing is he's got a pick. Unfortunately, wasn't able to capitalize in the middle of 3 and 4. I don't know if it's too early to pass. I mean, at some point, you've got to make that decision. And I think now that he's peaked a little bit, the 3 knows he's going to look. So he's watching the mirror. Now he's mirror driving and finding out what 33 is going to do. I think with the track being so hard to pass at, I think you have to start a little bit early. Set him up a little bit. See what he's going to do when you do this. And you can see the 33 went low and the 3 went with him. So Lewis Bussey is mirror driving and putting a couple of blocks on him. 33's got to outsmart him somehow.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, too. You're talking about Lewis Buster now. He's mirror driving, just like you said. He's got to be watching that mirror, so that increases his chance to make a mistake. So with Bando doing this, it increases the chance Buster might make a mistake. So that might be what he's looking to do here, too.
The 26 and the 51 get together and actually put the 26 and Kevin Buchanan put the 51 into basically a drift. Luckily, the 51 was able to hold on to it and split up the track a little bit, but the 26 did get around him.
Yeah, these two have been, going at it for about 10 laps now, and I don't think this battle for second place position is over yet. I think there's more to come before it's over with.
Yeah, and the great thing is you got 2 great battles. It's which one you want to look at, because on the left side you got Kevin Buchanan and the 51 and Nick Thames fighting for the 5th position. Then you got the leaders who are on 157 of 160, so they're coming to 2 to go at the line, and Bando is doing his best to try to set up the 3 car.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's trying to possibly pull a cold trickle here, so to speak, still on those closing days of Sundry. He keeps peeking out on that inside, you know. I wonder if it's maybe trying to set him up and actually make a pass on the outside before it's all over with. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two great battles play out, you know, especially for that lead right now. So, but Bando, like I say, keeps peeking out to that inside, you know, and giving a look to the inside, but Busta, every time he does, kind of pulls that card down there to the block, so to speak, which, you know, you would have to do if you're the leader.
Yeah, you've got to guard that inside lane. That's your only real choice for the 33 to get by in. Now, if I was in the 33, I think you're going to have to outbrake him just a tad, get to his bumpers, and when you come out of the corner, try to use that momentum coming out of either turn 4 or turn 2, and maybe make that pass to fake to the inside, then go to the outside and use anything that you can on the straightaway. Because if you can get to the outside of him on a straightaway and get even with him door to door, he can pinch him down to that inside lane where he has to back out of it, especially this late in the run with old tires.
Yeah, and we've been seeing guys do that. We come to lap 159 right there. We've seen guys do that on these restarts, have to check up, you know, what's one lap to go here. We've seen guys have to check up on those restarts, you know, to keep them sliding up into the outside line. Is, they got lap traffic to deal with now. It's going to get real interesting. This could be the spot that Bando's looking for. Is looks like
the 6132 make contact. The 3 gets around the 31 going 3 wide. 33's got to follow suit, and you would assume that the 2 on the inside are going to let these guys battle it out, and they do. 33 is going to have to get to his bumper before this next turn 4. Otherwise, it's going to be 3-car to the start-finish line.
Yeah, it looks like Bando swung a little bit high there, maybe trying to get a run off that corner. Well, he gets loose. It looks like that's what he's trying to do, but Lewis Busta just too much right there. He's going to bring home the lead, and Bando is trying every way he possibly can to get the speed out of that car for no avail. Wow, what a great finish.
Absolutely, and you have the Bando come in second, the 27 of Dale Reynolds in third place is making his way out of turn 3 and 4 to lock up the third position as well. Chris Melton in the fourth position is not too far behind him, making his way on the straightaway now. As Kevin Buchanan and the 51 of Nick Baines, they have separated after their slight contact out of fourth, and they're going to finish in fifth and sixth position.
You know, I'm looking back a little bit further there. One of the guys we talked about throughout the night using pit road strategy very excellently. Jovan Cherry's going to come home, you know, as he's coming into the final turns here, you know, going to bring home that car in the, he brought home that car in ninth place position with Frankie Samanto rounding out our, you know, in the 10th place position. So I think Frankie just in this case may have just waited a little too long to make that final pit stop there, but may have hurt him in the long run. But Jovan Cherry playing pit road strategy excellent tonight to bring home a nice place finish, one lap down. But go down the top 10 real quick here. I'll run through, of course, our tonight's winner here to Game Informer 400 will be Lewis Busta. Second place coming home tonight will be the 33 of Bam Bando. Dale Reynolds will bring home a third place finish here. We talked about him earlier tonight, you know, of course, you know, being one of those guys, consistency here. Fourth place, our young rookie here of Chris Melton at 78. Then fifth place, of course, Kevin Buchanan after that heated battle with the sixth place machine, number 51 of Nick Timms. Coming home is surprising. We didn't talk about him much tonight, but the number 8 in seventh place of Christian Vasquez. And, of course, coming home in ninth, our number 2 guy entering into tonight's race, you know, with the VSU Cup Series Championship battle. Brian Lee comes home in 8th. Jovan Cherry playing excellent pit road strategy, brings home a 9th. And, of course, like we said earlier, rounding out the top 10 will be number 23 of Frankie Samanto doing an excellent job tonight, Stephen.
Absolutely, and you have Ben Britton and Brian Lee, who Brian Lee finished in the 8th position. Ben Britton finished in 16th, so that actually closed the gap. And you wondering who the leader is at this point in the championship? It's actually BB, because he went into the race the leader. They are now tied at 698 points.
Wow, so we got a tie for the number 1 position in our points championship with 6 races, I think, to go. It's going to get interesting. And with that said, you know, the change, you know, no change, but however, a change in the points battle. We're going to take a quick commercial break here from the Game Informer 400, and get things ready for tonight. Wrap things up here. So let's go away for this quick commercial break, and we'll be back with tonight's race winner, Lewis Bussett. Stay tuned. Okie doke.
Link engaged.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time using our crystal clear voice technology. As a pioneer in the industry, TeamSpeak has become one of the most recognized brands in online gaming and voice-over IP solutions. TeamSpeak features include a customizable toolbar, a clickable server icon and support for channel icons, custom graphics and VB code-enabled info panes, detailed user info and support for uploading avatars, firewall-friendly file transfer, tabs, public and private text chat with logging, custom skins, themes and sound packs, and much more.
I'm someone that's more than just a casual gamer. It's important to me to have fast, organized, quality voice comms. With TeamSpeak, I'm able to quickly customize user permissions and email with privilege keys to an offline user. So the next time they log into the server, they'll be set up exactly how I want them to be. TeamSpeak also lets us do file transfers, assign player rank, insignia, upload avatars, or create custom skins. For me, there's no better choice out there than TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak is free to use for non-commercial entities. Low-cost professional hosting is also available through our global network of authorized TeamSpeak host providers. For online gaming titles, social networks, government, military, or simulator projects, TeamSpeak also offers a software development kit. The TeamSpeak SDK allows developers to integrate our technology directly into their existing product or service. So no matter which game you're playing or with whom you wish to communicate, TeamSpeak has you covered. TeamSpeak. Flexible, powerful, crystal clear voice communication on any platform.
And welcome back here live to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for tonight's running of the Game Informer 400 presented by NuffWORLD TV. They're sitting down here in Victory Lane right now with one Lewis Bussett III. I tell you what, very dominating victory here tonight, Lewis. Kind of take us through the night, so to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Ducey. It was just one of those races where you just kind of had to get the laps in and get through it, and you know, just let it kind of play itself out and keep the track position, and you know, keep out of the back of the pack, and you know, that's what we were able to do. Work the pit stops the right way, and me and Bando were able to work together and kind of broke off from the pack, and you know, after that it was just, you know, just getting to the end of the race.
Right, now, kind of watching tonight, you know, that was a lot of green flag racing out there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last caution falling on lap 28, you know, how grueling was that to run that amount of laps here at Indianapolis? I know it's a tough track. You know, how grueling was that on you to run that long and that far under green flag?
Oh yeah, it was nice to get to the, you know, the pit stops and get a little break and flex the hands a little bit because the hands were getting stiff. But, you know, that's great racing, you know. Everybody to keep it, you know, green like that at a tough track like Indy, that just speaks for volumes about, you know, everybody that we got in the league, all the drivers, you know, just making it around here without wrecking, you know, an accomplishment in its own, and pretty much all of us did it for 130 laps. So just, you know, a great race.
Yeah, now leading 101 laps total tonight, you know, of course taking home the most laps led, but during those last few laps there, last 5 laps or so, looks like Bando was playing peekaboo, so to speak, in the rearview mirror. You know, what were your thoughts when you know, you were coming down to the end? You knew he was going to try to make a move. You know, what was the thoughts and everything, and you know, that's going through your mind there?
Yeah, I was watching the engine temps a lot that last run. I didn't know whether the car would start to overheat or not, so I was really paying attention for the engine temp gauge. And it got down to about 5 to go, and he started putting pressure on me, and I still just didn't want to push it yet because I was just weary of it, because we pushed it hard in practice, and it didn't take long for it to start pushing steam, and that's something I just didn't want to do, and take a chance of blowing up. So I was just trying to do what I could just to keep him behind me till the last 2, and then I really went hard the last 2, but then you're coming through 2 on the last lap, you had 2 guys racing in front of us, and the track was blocked, so that got hairy, but we brought her home.
Right. Well, congratulations tonight, Lewis, on the very dominating win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not only in addition to taking home the trophy here tonight and the win, one of the sponsors, our Game Informer itself, you know, put up a nice little prize here tonight. I don't think you guys have been informed about it yet, but all 3 of our top 3 finishers tonight are going to get a complimentary free 1-year subscription to Game Informer magazine. So, you know, that's a added treat, you know, to the trophy you'll be taking home tonight. But Lewis, I'll turn the mic over to you, you know, for, you know, to thank your sponsors and such, and you know, any special someones out there you want to say hello to.
Yeah, I want to say hello to Shauna, because I'm sure she's watching, and I want to thank ACR, because they brought me on board here, you know, starting this week, so I was glad I was able to get him a victory. Tony Ball, Bruce Turner, I want to thank him for bringing me into the team, and thank Bando, my other teammate. We were just, you know, out there working together, and Game Informer, first of all, for sponsoring the race, and all the sponsors, TeamSpeak, Diamond Medical, Spatial, Potomac, TB Designs for sponsoring the Pole Award, Halls on Post, the Roadrunners, Starting Park, Team Sidious, and VSU for sponsoring the Cup Series, which is great. So, you know, sponsor race or sponsor driver, you know, everybody in here will make you look good.
All right, and congratulations, Lewis Buss, on tonight's win. You know, bring home win number 5 of the season. That'll put you, you know, tied for the most wins right now for the season. So, you know, with your teammate Ben Bando. So, you know, moving up closer, you know, getting into points championship on the VSU Cup Championship. That's definitely going to pay into some huge bonus points to you. But understand, Jacob, you're standing down on pit road now with our second place finisher here tonight.
Yes, I am. Well, Ben, you another dominating performance with you and Lewis out there in front. It just you guys just seemed like you were pretty much unstoppable once again, and another great finish. Can you just take us through those last 10 laps through your perspective?
Well, to tell you the truth, J-Pop, those last 10 laps, I wanted to win, but I wanted to finish the race. Coming into this race, I'm sitting like 100 points out of the chase, and I just needed to get that finish, not wreck us both, you know, and come home with a good, solid finish, because I'm gonna have to finish like this, be talking to you guys every week to get in the chase, because it's really tight. But there at the end, Lewis outdrove me. We had the same setup. He just straight up outdrove me. I gave it all I had, and right there it was Harry going through that lap traffic. I wasn't gonna risk it, you know, getting us both involved in a wreck just to get a win. I just wanted a solid finish, and I'd just like to congratulate Lewis. He outdrove me there.
Well, is there, looking back on it now, if you really want to get that win, is there anything you think you could have done differently, or did you really just give it all you had?
I gave it all I had, Jacob. I mean, pretty much, yeah. Lewis outdrove me. I actually, Lewis is going to be mad at me, but I had a couple percentage, you know, a couple pieces of tape on the front end there to try and be a little faster than him, but it still didn't work.
You were, it seemed like you were having some success on pit road. How are you getting bus off pit road so many times?
Well, Lewis kept telling me he was going to take it easy getting on pit road, so, you know, it is what it is. But on that last stop, I think Bus's crew had a long stop. They had a 15-second stop. You know, I came on a little bit ahead, but this track, you know, it's so easy to stay in a draft. Really, the track isn't that hard to drive. There was no getting away. So really, that pit stop didn't matter. And I would have rather had him leading because I tend to overdrive when I'm out front. So it really didn't matter to me that I came out in front of him, you know, on that pit stop, because I probably would have let him go anyways, you know, and waited till like the last 5 laps, which is what I did, you know, to try to get that win. But we came up short today.
Well, off the second place finish, is there anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
I'd just like to thank all you guys for doing the broadcast, Game Informer, all my teammates, Tony Ball, Bruce Turner, William Robertson, Christian Vasquez, Louis Busta, you know, everybody in the league for just putting on a great race there. It was awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Ben. Once again, congrats on your finish, and good luck in the future. Now we're going down to, I have Dale Reynolds down here, third place finisher. And Dale, you were really, really quiet throughout this whole race, but you came away with a nice third place finish. Can you just take us through your night?
Yeah, we had a quiet night all night. The car was really, really fast. I was very comfortable with it. I know a lot of people were having some tire issues, and they were finding some handling issues the whole race. And you know, the car was very, very comfortable. We unloaded with our Pocono, with a Pocono base, and we kind of adjusted from there. And it was really, really comfortable all weekend. You know, at the beginning there, I think we qualified 6th, and immediately when those cautions came out, we just did different pitch strategy than a couple other guys, and got back behind a couple times. And you know, luckily with all the green flag runs, I think you guys said we had about 130 laps there of green flag. We were able to work our way all the way up to the front there, and you know, I know a couple guys short pitted. You know, we decided to stay out longer because that's where we really felt. That's where I felt that the car ran best was on the longer runs. And you know, me and Chris there at the end, we really had ourselves a nice battle for third place. Want to congratulate him on his good run there. You know, I had a lot of fun trying to get away from him because, you know, I really wanted that third place.
Since those guys were just so far ahead, if you did get a caution, do you think you would have had a chance to get in front of those guys and beat them?
It's really tough to say. You know, Busta and Bando, man, they really had superb cars all night. I want to congratulate them two on a great night tonight. I felt like, as Bando said, you know, the draft is really, really important here because of all the long straightaways and the high speeds. I really think that if we had a caution, I could probably hang with them and maybe make a move. But you know, I really don't think I could have made any kind of move. I probably could have hung with them, but they really had some of the best cars all night. I really don't know, man. That's really up to speculation if we could have beat them or not.
Well, another great run in the books for you. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Game Informer. I was really excited once I found out that they were sponsoring this race. I'm a big fan of their magazines, and I currently am a subscriber. You know, Game Informer, I love their magazines. I want to thank all the sponsors for putting all the effort that they do behind this league. Potomac, TB Designs, and Start and Park, and Diamond Medical, and all the wonderful sponsors that definitely that help us out. I want to thank you guys in the booth for giving us yet another great race. I want to thank EPR and all my teammates. You know, they really we all ran pretty much the same stuff, and you know, they're always a blast to race with. And thank my sponsor, Square Enix's Final Fantasy X and 10-2 HD remaster. It's great to get that game on the hood of the car, and then to be able to get a great run with Game Informer. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. But super excited. Final Fantasy X was my favorite video game, and you know, I think it's really awesome that I was able to get such a good run for that. and look forward to that release. I believe it comes out in December, and just a big fan of Final Fantasy and Game Informer in general. So thank you to everybody that really makes all of this come together. I know it's a lot of hard work, so thank you all.
Well, congrats to your top 2 finishes tonight. Hard fought, good job, and I understand we have an extra guest tonight with Juicy right now.
That is correct, J-Pop. I'm standing by down here down here on Pit Road right now with Jovan Cherry, driver of that number 20 machine. We talked about all night, Jovan, kind of, things that you were doing out there. It looks like you had kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball there at one point, so to speak, running a little deep in the pack, and then heard across, I think it was Jacob had been talking with your pit crew. I guess there was a pit strategy that you employed at that point to try to get you back up where you're at. Can you kind of lead us through that, and let's talk about that pit strategy for a moment?
Yeah, it was pretty hairy back there, I'm not going to lie. We didn't get the best of qualifying, so that really made it hard. But we were really just kind of paying attention to the fuel at first, and then when we came in on that first pit stop, we were trying to make it to 40, but with all the cautions we had, it just pushed it even farther. So we tried to push it as much as we could on the fuel, and then pit and see how the tires were, and then we could from there know if we needed to run it harder, which we could. And once we started doing that, we just started making up the time. Cars were falling back to us, and we just had enough tires to keep it going, making everything possible. So I don't know if the strategy would have really made that big of a difference, but the tires sure did. It was very important.
Yeah, we kind of alluded to and talked about that. It looks like, when the leaders come upon you to put that one lap down, you were trying to position yourself, fighting with the leaders, but trying not to slow them down at the same time. And I can't remember now who it was you were fighting with, but once the leaders were able to get around you, you were able to tuck back in with the leaders, kind of follow suit with the draft there, so to speak, and pull away to stay in that lucky dog position. How much did that help you out throughout the night?
Oh, it was important. I mean, I tried to push to, stay ahead of them. And then once I saw, I think it was Bussa pull under me, I just let him go. And then my thing was that, if I stay tucked in behind Bando, who is in second at that point, they're just going to go under all these cars, and then I'll just stay right behind them, be able to get through the hole and then follow them, so I could just keep picking them off easy. And as I was doing that, not only was I getting the spots back, but I was also making up ground on the other cars and putting a gap behind the cars that I had already passed, which really came to help me later on in the race, because as it came down to the end, I made up all these spots, and no one was really behind me to try to make up any time, and all I had to do was just run 2 cars down, which I did. So it was very important. I didn't know it was going to come to play out like that, but I'm very glad that it did.
All right, well, congratulations on a hard-fought race tonight. Pulling it out and using that pit strategy worked out well for you, Jovan. But kind of transition here, too, kind of looking at after tonight's points and such, after tonight's race, going into, getting close to the championship, Stephen, as you alluded to, with tonight's finish between Ben Britton and Brian Lee, looks like we got ourselves a two-way tie among the top 2 right now for, the points championship. So with about 5 races to go before we get into the chase, one of the big climbers tonight, of course, our driver of that number 3 machine, Louis Bussa, moves himself up 3 positions tonight, puts himself in the 15th place position, only 2 points now away from, cracking into that top 14 and making that chase. So a lot of shakeups tonight, inside of, our top 15 especially, with Louis Bussa moving up. Now we got that 2-way tie. So give me your thoughts on the points championship right now, Stephen.
Had a nice 8-point lead over Brian Lee, but coming out of it, we always talk about Ben as being the guy that can capitalize on every race. However, he got a lap down early in the race, which really hurt him. He ended up finishing 2 laps down, and Brian Lee was able to keep that distance with being a lap down. We did have one driver in the top 5 driver spot position. Del Reynolds moved to the 4th place position, as well as Danny Gutierrez moves back to the 5th with Del's moving forward. And then we had one guy drop out of the top 10, who was Jeremy Enix, as I believe he missed this race tonight. which put Chuck Garcia in 10th place, and we go back to our chase for the cup. These guys that are battling to get into the playoff system to win this championship, we've got a serious battle. 13th, 14th, and 15th right now, all within 4 points of each other. So Jerry Hinkle and Kevin Kelly Jr. are looking to stay in it, as Louis Bussa is on the outside looking in.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on right there in that point, especially for those final positions to make it into the championship this year. And just like Bando had alluded to during his interview too, he's also still trying to make it in there. So got about 6 races or so to do it in. So it's going to be real interesting to see how those points play out. You know, especially up top with the lead flopping back and forth, and then also with these guys, you know, trying to get in on the outside looking in, so to speak, too. So definitely a big point shake-up here tonight after Indianapolis and the Game Informer 500. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll sign off the air from live from Indianapolis here tonight. I'm joined here tonight, like I say, your broadcast team, myself, Douglas Sargent, and Jacob Popolowski, with our producer, Stephen Mahana. Hope to see you back here next week on NuffWorld TV for next week's race. Until then, have yourselves a good week.
Are you looking to start your own professional internet radio station the easy way? Sam Vibe was specifically designed for you. From the makers of Sam Broadcaster, Sam Vibe takes advantage of the cloud to let you focus on what is important: managing and running your station. There are 5 simple steps to get started with Sam Vibe. 1. Sign up for a free account at SamVibe.com. No credit card information is required to get a free account. 2. Download and install Sam Vibe. 3. Check your email to retrieve your account information and login details. 4. Run Sam Vibe and enter your username and password. 5. The Sam Vibe Quick Start Wizard shows you the first steps to start your station. Simply upload your music, turn on your station, and tune in. Too easy? Don't worry, Sam Vibe caters for the needs of both novice and professional broadcasters. Sound exciting? Give it a try. Sign up for free now at SamVibe.com to experience how broadcasting should be.